What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me, but I just got home off of an early morning flight, right? First thing through the door, I want to see my family. I love my family. You know, I'm a family man. I'm an advocate for families, right? Second thing, I got to get that hot shower because I got to throw the threads on. The threads make me feel like $1,000,000, but the third thing through my mind and all throughout the trip is that I gotta have that Teej pack. Teej makes my life uncomplicated. It's uncomplicated skincare for men. The first way that I started specifically was their level 1 system. It's a daily face wash to get rid of the dirt and grime on your skin. 2 times per week exfoliating scrub to get rid of the dead skin cells. An AM moisturizer with SPF 20 because you should always be protecting your skin from the sun, and a PM moisturizer to help your skin stay hydrated and healthy throughout the night. Here's the thing. My favorite part about Teej Henley is that every box comes with an instruction card that tells you when to use each product, how much to use, and in what order. They really making the process of achieving and maintaining amazing skin for men uncomplicated. In addition to amazing skin, members of Teej Henley get tons of benefits, including at least 20% off the retail price, the ability to customize your box, exclusive monthly deals, you can pause and cancel at any time, and you get free shipping. And because Teej Henley is sponsoring today's video, they're offering my viewers an amazing deal, right? Just click the first link in the description and you get 30% off your first box, plus a free gift. It's an amazing deal. You got to get started today. You're not out here trying to look like a dusty. And if you travel as much as I do, which I'm sure most people don't, but you know me, I'm pushing my bag chasers in order to be in the top 5%, top 10%, top 1%. We got to make our lives uncomplicated, and Teej Henley is no better product. You got to look good. You got to smell good. And you can't be looking like a dusty. Make sure you get started today. Click the link in the description. Get that Teej pack. Feel the Teej, my friends. What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. I am your host, Anton Daniels, and I am absolutely, positively excited to be before you here on Wednesday, August 30th, 2023, year of our Lord. What's going on, chat? What's up, friends and family? How y'all feeling? Is everything good? I got a question for y'all before we get started today. But before we get started, let me go ahead and get the housekeeping out of the way. Make sure you tap into our partner and the person that sponsors the live stream, and they've been absolutely awesome as a partner. Teej Henley, 30% off your first order plus a free gift. You already know what I'm going to say. Ladies, get it for your fellas. If the fellas haven't already done so for themselves, and the fellas, don't wait for the ladies to do it for you. Make sure you go ahead and take care of that for yourselves. Also, on top of that, make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. You know the spiel. If you're not a part of the bag chasers, if you out here being a dusty, if you're not doing the thing that's in your best interest, I got a lot of people that always tap back into me, and they fell away from me, but then they always come back into my bosom. They always come back into my bosom. And the reason that they come back into my bosom is because they realize after they discovered me that they took me for granted, but then they didn't value me the way that they did. So they walked away from me for a little bit, and they went out there and they suffered, and they realized that it ain't no show as good as mine. It ain't nobody that gives the type of information, and there's nobody that actually loves you as much as as I love you. I think that I have the greatest return rate of people that actually get coaching calls, Patreon members, and people that actually subscribe to the show than anybody else out there, because I have a loyalty to you that you don't really understand that I have for you yet until you actually fall away. You know how it's like, I tell guys all the time, I say, yo, let her go so that she can actually experience what life is. And if she's still valuable by the time that she come back, then make sure that you take her back into your bosom. But if she's for the streets now, you just got to let her go, and you got to be able to allow for her to be able to watch from a distance. Don't mean that you got to take her back in. Don't mean that you got to look down upon her, but she just not for you at that time. You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of people that fall away, and then they come back. They say, Anton, I had a coaching call with you a year and a half ago when you told me to do this, and I decided to do my own thing, and now I'm in a worse place than I was before I tapped in with you because I did not do what you asked me to do. But I want a coaching call now. And I say, nah, fam, you got to go ahead and Get on the waiting list like everybody else, because it's some people that's been dedicated to being the best version of themselves. Hey, let me know this in the chat. Answer me this question, y'all. Here's the question that I have for you guys today. This is the question that I have for my friends and my family today. Let me know. Give me a yes or no if you believe, and this is only, you can't say what it is that you've grown in. You can't say what it is that you've succeeded or regressed in. Give me a 1 in the chat if you believe that you've personally have progressed significantly this year. And it does not matter what you identify as progress, right? It could be in your relationship. It can be in your finances. It could be with regard to your networking. It could be in corporate America, raises and promotions. It could be because, you believe that you've progressed emotionally and that you're not as easily triggered anymore, that you've solved for some things as far as letting people go. And so subtraction, you got addition by subtraction. And so now you don't have people necessarily slowing you down anymore. Put a 1 in the chat if you believed that you have progressed significantly this year versus where you were last year. Somebody says 0.5. Oh, Jesus, God. Got to be named Tyrone. Put a 1 in the chat if you believe that you've progressed significantly. And remember, progress comes in a lot of different forms. Sometimes it may seem like you're lonely because you've made adjustments to your life, but it's just that you haven't yet been able to see the fruits of the seeds that you planted. Sometimes you've let some people go and it seems like on Instagram that they're having a whole lot of fun, but you don't necessarily know that they suffering or they going through it or they just giving you the presentation layer. Sometimes it's addition by subtraction. Sometimes you not going out and doing things allows for you to save more money and keep more within your budget, or you starting to go through some things, right? Maybe God is dealing with you. Maybe you in a space in your life to where there's some modifications that you need to make. And so you're going through some things. If you're a dope fiend, for example, and I'm using this as an example because we're all dope fiends in one way or another, figuratively, because there's things that we consider vices or we have addictions. And that addiction can come in a lot of different forms. It can come in a form of people that you surround yourself with. And you may be addicted to a toxic person that you don't feel like is best for you, but you can't let them go because they give you that dopamine hit in some way, shape, or form, right? And so when you finally detach yourself from that situation, it could seem like, oh man, I'm really going through it. But in reality, you just evolving. And so there's a form or there's a time in your life where you start to go through the withdrawal effects, right? You start shaking, your body is sweating, because your body has gotten used to that thing that you used to being in, right? A heroin addict continues to need that heroin until their body completely divests itself from that thing that it's become addicted to. And so progress comes in a lot of different forms. And I don't want you guys to believe or think, for 1 second that you are not progressing just because you're in a state of evolution, right? So you guys have to make sure that you're identifying what progress is. It could be because, regression can come in a different form, right? You could be making significantly more money, but you could be spending more money because you increased what it is that you're spending on your lifestyle, which is not in your own best interest. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. I'm going to read the super chats and then we're going to get started with the show because I have a lot of content that we got to go over. Some is going to be entertainment. Others is going to be money related, but it's all going to come back to progress. That's the thing that we're working on, progress. We're using other people's examples in order to illustrate how it is that we need to move differently, especially with regard to progress. That's the name of the show, is Anarchy. It's a lot of anarchy going on all around us. We see our cities being decimated. We see our people running out of money. We see people going through it. It's a lot of people that's catching STDs and diseases, and they out here being examples of what it is that we shouldn't do. There's a lot of people that's out here going broke. It's a lot of people out here clout chasing. It's a lot of people hating on other people. It's a lot of people doing things that's not in their own best interest. It's a lot of people doing a lot of things, but the reality is that for some of us, we're actually going in the direction that we're supposed to be going in. So you gotta be steadfast. You gotta have endurance. It's not a sprint. It is a marathon. It is a marathon. It is given to he who endureth to the end, not the person that run the fastest, not the person that's in a 100-yard dash. Is given to he who endureth to the end. Trust me. All right. I love you. I appreciate you. Let's get started with the show. Again, make sure you hit a like for the algorithm. Also, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Shout out to all of my people on YouTube. Shout out to all of my people on Facebook. Let's get to it. Let me read a few of these super chats so we can get into the show. But before I do, let me give an acknowledgement to all of the people on Cash App that continues to hold me down. First and foremost, I give a shout out to my dog, Mike, that dude. Also for Tommy says, for gon' cook up chef. And then Jared Rankin is in the building. Shout out to you. I appreciate you. Also, let me give an acknowledgement to a few super chatters that we got going on early in the show. So my dog, Levi Apparel, says, time to start cooking. Shout out to Levi Apparel. I appreciate you for holding me down, my friend. Cliff Williams is in the building, says, Juan Guan, big bro, nothing beats chasing the bag. We up. I appreciate you, Cliff Williams. Fa Brown is in the building. My dog, I just had a coaching call with Fa Brown a couple days ago. Fa says, yo, Anton, what up, bag chasers? That new Impala is absolutely fire. Also, I already got the ball rolling on that homework you gave me. Thank you for everything. Shout out to Fa Brown. He is running it up. He said, Anton, I got all of this money saved now as a result of the thing that you told me to do, and I'm not even paying no interest anymore on this thing that was costing me money, and so I got a lot more to do, and so we started going over some, I ain't going to tell y'all what we said, but shout out to Fa Brown for doing the work. I appreciate you for doing the thing that's in your own best interest, my friend, and if you guys have not saw the newest purchase that I purchased, I crashed one, and then I went and bought another, and then I threw the one that I crashed inside of the shop so the insurance company can make sure that they take care of it. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and Twitter. So we making sure that we run that up like that. Shout out to Fa Brown. And then last but not least, my dog Shen C is in the building. Shout out to Shen C. Just came up with the salute. Shout out to Shen C. I appreciate you absolutely. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with the show. I love you guys. I appreciate you. And again, make sure you share this with your family and friends. First and foremost, I wanted to focus on what was going on in California. I absolutely, positively was dedicated to what was going on in San Francisco, LA, Bay Area, Calabasas, all of the, Glendale. I heard they was running in one of my favorite cities, Glendale. I had a Patreon meetup over in Glendale. They over there robbing people over in Glendale. And I wanted to focus completely on what was going on the West Coast because I said that the West Coast hasn't had the spotlight on them the way that they should have. San Francisco, San Diego, all of those different places, right? And just like that, Chicago pulled me right back in. Chicago pulled me right back in. Shout out to Chicago. You just cannot stay out of the news. Listen, for the sake of not being on the Millionaire Morning Show as the highlight of how it is that we should not be operating, please, all of my Chicagoans, refrain from doing violence, refrain from robbing people, refrain from killing, refrain from all of the local violence. What is going on? What is happening in our cities? Have we just completely, and 100% have forgotten our way and lost our way? Is it because we don't go to church anymore? Is it because of single mothers? Is it because of fathers leaving the household? What is it? I'm open to taking whatever suggestion that you guys have so that we can solve for this crisis that is happening across the board. What is going on, yo? There used to be decorum. Listen, it used to be that everywhere else was full game, but you don't mess with women and children, right? It used to be rules of engagement. You don't mess with women and children. You don't mess with the old lady. You don't mess with the preacher man. You kind of let the dude that's on crack, you let him live. Even the dude that was, honestly, when I was coming up, it was a different time in which Shout out to Krishawn Humphrey. I'm going to be reading that super chat shortly. It was a different time in which, you know, that old man, he's senile, he running around, he bothering people, he asking for change. We know that he on crack, cocaine, or whatever like that, but we had a level of sympathy for him, right? And so we didn't walk up and knock him out. We didn't go out and check him and take his shoes and bother him even more. We knew that he had a vice. We knew that he had an issue. Yo, let that man live. He ain't got much time. His life was hard, whatever, so on and so forth. Let him have his dreams. He gonna walk up and say how good he was in basketball and that he played with Earl to Pearl Monroe and he was finger rolling, but he just never made it into the league. Let that, well, you know, you used to let the dude live. You never stole from the church, the preacher man. You let the preacher man do whatever it is that he wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, the preacher man was the preacher man. The church was the one place that you can go to. What is going on? Give me a second. What's going on? What you doing?
Watching the Millionaire Morning Show.
So what made you text me, can I have $4,000 then?
Because I asked you yesterday and you never got back to me, so I just wanted it to be like in the forefront of your mind when you looked at your phone again.
Honey, I was holding Chicago accountable and you asked me for $4,000.
Okay. I just wanted it to be in the forefront of your mind when you look at your phone when you get done with the live stream. Maybe think about it, consider it, you know.
What is $4,000 for? You know what? Don't even worry about it.
Hi, everybody.
Yes, you can have $4,000, Rita.
Really?
Yes, you can have $4,000. Why are you acting surprised?
Yes. Well, actually, so I need $4,000 now, and then once the job is completed, I'm gonna need another probably $4,000.
So you need 8, man. So why you ask for 4 when you need 8?
Because I'm trying to work my way up. I was gonna, do a little something tonight, maybe get the other 4,000.
You can have the 4,000. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Bye. Anyways, Chicago. Let's go ahead and get into it because I don't know what I was saying. You know what I'm saying? But y'all ready to be married? Do y'all want to be married or no? Do y'all want to be married or no? That's all I'm saying. Do y'all want to be married? I know Exodia to God. I know it's so crazy. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm. I take all of my calls that happen during the show live for y'all. It just is what it is. Let's get it rocking, y'all.
City officials calling for a crackdown on crime as an armed robbery spree continues across Chicago.
WGN's Dana Repic is live in North Lawndale with the latest here. Dana?
Well, police believe there are multiple robbery crews targeting victims on the west side. One of those crews was caught last night, but after those arrests were made, another group was at it, hitting victims in 10 separate locations in a matter of 2 hours.
Hold on. So check this out, y'all. Let's not ignore what it is that they said, but let's also use our context clues to have this conversation. Now, we have a news crew out here. We got a news crew out here, and check it out. If you look behind you, this is in Chicago, right? This is in Chicago. If you look behind you, you can see a tent. Homelessness is rampant. Dudes is out here robbing. There's literally a tent. Homelessness is crazy even in Chicago. Y'all know it's about to get cold out here, right? Y'all know it's about to get cold out here, right? See, I don't pay attention to just what it is that they saying. I'll also look at what the hell is happening in these hellholes of cities that we living in. This is crazy. When I was younger, I never used to see tents just sitting on the sidewalk in the middle of the street. When you walk down D.C., if you go down Skid Row, if you walk down any of these streets in San Francisco, it's literally tents everywhere. This is literally becoming a third world country. But check out what she said. Hold on, let's break it down.
In North Lawndale with the latest here. Dana?
Well, police believe there are multiple robbery crews targeting victims on the west side. One of those crews was caught last night, but after those arrests were made, another group was at it, hitting victims in 10 separate locations in a matter of 2 hours.
What the hell is happening? Is Hydra over in Chicago? Is Hydra working over in Chicago? You cut one off, two more grow in its place. So they got one crew, and then the other crew was like, yes, police finally got them boys so we can hit all 10 locations of all of the different places that we was going to. They over in Chicago like, hell Hydra. Shout out to all of my Marvel fans, back when Marvel was actually good. They get one crew, and then they just lower it up so that the other three crews can go and hit the 10 different spots all in the same day. This is crazy. This is absolutely insane.
Sí, me robaron a mí, me quitaron $2,000.
A mechanic at Illinois Auto Repair on North St. Louis and Logan Square says it happened in seconds. A dark-colored sedan pulled up just before 7:30 Saturday night, and 4 armed men with hoods up wearing masks jump out, taking his wallet at gunpoint that had $2,000 cash a customer had just paid him inside.
No, nunca pensé que me fuera a tocar a mí.
He says he never thought it would happen to him, but this man is just one of more than a dozen people.
What? Say it ain't people that look just like me. Maybe it's systematic racism that's driving these young men to go out there and rob these business owners and not care about their business, the customers, so on and so forth. Maybe it's systematic oppression and the fact that they haven't gotten their reparations yet that's driving all of these young bulls to be out here robbing, stealing, and killing in the broad daylight. Don't care nothing about no cameras. Don't care nothing about no cops. Don't care nothing about no guns. Don't care nothing about anything. They are really willing to crash out for 2 bands, 3 bands being split up between 4 and 5 different people. Family, you do know that y'all not even getting $600 a piece for 2 bands. You're not even getting $600-700 a piece. You might as well go to work. You willing to put your whole life on the line? We got dudes out here putting their whole life on the line for $2,000 being split up between 5 people. You ready to crash out over $500-600, $700? Split up between all of y'all? Where they do that at? What kind of crime syndicates is this? Huh? You listen, y'all not even doing the banks anymore. Where they y'all going straight to the business owners and the old ladies and y'all knocking them over the head for $500? $500. Sheesh. Yannick, I appreciate you. I'm going to be reading that super chat shortly.
People robbed in a 2-day time span on the west side.
It sounds like that's been happening a lot lately. It's definitely scary.
Victims described between 2 to 5 armed offenders. In several of the incidents, they were seen fleeing in a white sedan, one victim describing it as a Kia. Just overnight, a crew committed 10 armed robberies, the first just before 3:30 this morning in the 4400 block of West 5th. The offenders hit victims on West Grand, South Campbell, Southwestern, West Cermak, South Allport, West Lake, North Ashland, and West Grenshaw.
Y'all ready to walk away from Chicago, all of my good people all together? Overnight, same crew hit 10 different robberies all at the same time. Just driving around the city, just knocking people off. Driving around the city, knocking people off. Chicago has some of the strictest gun laws in the entire country for citizens. Chicago has some of the strictest gun laws for citizens, meaning that we're also preventing people from even being able to defend themselves when we see these dudes and these young bulls out here running around They're going to go back and they're going to sleep in their mama's crib. Their mama going to say, oh, not Jody. Oh, my baby, it's systematic oppression, racism. They was out here knocking people over, taking heads, got switches on their guns. They living in the drug culture and all of this other type of stuff. And so when they get arrested or when the police start to rough them up a little bit, we going to sue the police too, and we going to get a payout as a result of it. This is the environment and the place that we live in. Look, if y'all from a foreign country, if y'all are watching this, I know I got a lot of people that watch my show all across the board. We already got 1,700 people in here and counting, right? If y'all are watching this outside of the country, if you are from here and you moved out of the country, or if you outside of the country, shout out to my Nigerians, people in the UK, even up in Canada. Shout out to my people in Tokyo. Shout out to my people in Thailand. If you over in the Dominican Republic and you watching this, let me tell you something. It's not better over here than it is over there. Your ability to be able to make money, maybe, but you can also get a job from where you at because we're in a global economy. If you want to come over and you want to visit Los Angeles, if you want to visit Chicago, if you want to go down south and you want to go and visit Overtown and you want to go over to Houston, Texas and get you listen. Remember when different cities used to be known for things that was significant for that particular region? Los Angeles was known for the car culture. They had the low riders because they ain't had no salt on their cars and it was sunny year round. And so, if you ever wanted to go to a car show and all of that other type of stuff and you wanted to get you some good tacos because they food and the food culture over there was completely different than what it was on the East Coast, it was dope. You can go over there. You can go and see Hollywood. You can walk down the Walk of Fame. Now, if you walk down the Walk of Fame in Hollywood, it smell like piss. And I keep seeing Michael Jackson, the old version of him, and not Michael Jackson, the new version. So all of the Michael Jacksons got afros on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I kid you not. I was walking down the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and Michael Jackson, every Michael Jackson, young, old, I seen one that was dressed like Mike, and he was almost in a wheelchair. And he was out there doing his little, he was doing his stuff and all of their hair was nappy. I said, what version of Michael are you? So we don't get we don't get Thriller Michael. We don't get Bad Michael. We don't get Dangerous. We don't get none of that Michael. The Michael that we get is the one that was hanging around Tito and LaToya. All of the Michaels is dusty out here. All of their hands was ashy. Not a piece of lotion in sight. Vaseline, lotion, Crisco. Put something on them hands, big dog. Everybody was Michael, and nobody was Michael at the same time. When you went over into Philly, right, they had competing cheesesteaks. You go across one street, you go across the other one. It was the Philly cheesesteaks. You go and get you a baseball game. Maybe go and check out the 76ers. Dr. J was finger rolling, right? And we had legends out there. Now we got Kensington Street. And Philadelphia is known for Kensington Ave, where you can go and get you a combination of fentanyl and horse tranquilizer all in the same time. You can't even get good drugs in Philly no more. You can't get good drugs in Philly. I never thought that we'd see today. That you can't even get drugs that's not spiked with fentanyl. And so you be over there foaming at the mouth and somebody got to call the police and get some Narcan in order to wake you up. That's crazy, fam. It's crazy. Insane. You used to be able to go up to Chicago and go to the Miracle Mile. Go see the Bean. You know what I'm saying? Michael Jordan. Scotty, Michael, B.J. Armstrong, John Paxson, Steve Kerr, Horace Grant went over there and kicked Michael Jordan's ass. They try to leave that out of the documentary. But Horace Grant went over into the Orlando Magic when Michael came back, and they try to say that wasn't a loss because he came back and he won 6 championships. Listen, we're not going to ignore the fact that Mike got his ass kicked by Horace Grant, but either here or there, you used to go over to Chicago, do some shopping. You know what I'm saying? I bought my first Rolex out in Chicago. The Submariner. I documented it back in like 2017 or some crap like that, right? You used to be able to go over to Chicago and have a good time. Now you got to go over to Chicago and worry about the switches. We know, think about it. I just named 3 different places. 3 different places. LA, homelessness, and pissy Hall of Fame star walk. You can go and piss on Kevin Hart's star right now without any kind of repercussions right on Hollywood Boulevard, right? Philly, cheesesteaks. Nope. Kensington Ave, where you can go and get you a combination of fentanyl and horse tranquilizer right now. Chicago, the Bean. Nope. It's not the Miracle Mile anymore. It's O-Block. Chicago is better known for O-Block today than they are for the Miracle Mile. And this is the culture that we live in. This is a fact. This is a fact. Shout out to the 1,900 people and counting that's in here. Make sure you share this with your family and friends. This is the best morning show on the face of the earth.
In some cases, the victims were assaulted as well.
It is a real shame that it's happening.
Moby, get out of Chicago.
I do wish that there would be less of this, naturally.
Chicago police did arrest 3 people around 9:30 last night after an armed robbery led to a crash in Bucktown. The suspects were in a white SUV and had just robbed a 51-year-old woman in the 2000 block of Mozart.
Y'all robbing women, 50-year-old women out here. 50-year-old women ain't even safe on ours. We don't even respect our own women. We can't even have a woman walk down the street, getting home from work. She coming home from the diner. Her feet is tired. She already ain't got nothing. Her rent is due. She behind on that junk. She trying to get laid off so she can get some unemployment. Her PPP loan didn't even go through, so she can't even get 3 hots and a cot from getting arrested from the PPP loans. She probably was on her way in the morning to go to the check cashing place so she can pay 75% interest on a $600 loan. And she can't even get home from the diner so that she can actually go to sleep because her feet is hurting because she got some young bulls that's out here knocking her over the head and then crashing her car out and she ain't even got no car insurance to get it fixed. Shout out to Chicago.
Before crashing. That vehicle is possibly connected to multiple robberies over the weekend, including the one at the auto repair shop.
There was a lot of frustration because I know that the mayor's talking about, investing in the community, looking at the root cause of violence, which my community supports. I think most Chicagoans support. But in the interim, what are we doing to address the issues now?
36th Ward Alderman Gilbert Villegas recently held a public safety meeting with the 12th Police District Commander. He reports residents have started a petition for the city to reopen the shuttered 13th District that closed in 2012 due to consolidation.
Wait. Mayor Johnson was one of the biggest proponents for defund the police. Wait. Mayor Johnson, who replaced Lori Lightfoot, was one of the biggest proponents for defund the police. Am I not mistaken? I don't want to give false information. I just want to make sure, because this was just 6 months ago. All right, you know what? Don't worry about it. Because the beautiful thing about this is that because we operate in real time, we're going to go to what the people asked for. Because listen, I don't want to hear y'all complaining. I'm going to go to what the people asked for. I'm going to talk about what the people asked for. And then we're going to get into what Mayor Johnson decided to give him as a result of it. Because I can't put it all at his fault. Shout out to Aaron. Shout out to Chris James. I'm definitely going to be reading those super chats shortly. Let's check out what the people said.
Tonight, hundreds of protesters taking the streets once again, calling for the defunding of Chicago police, marching right near one of the Chicago police training facilities. Tonight, a renewed call to defund the Chicago Police Department. Hundreds of demonstrators calling for the millions of dollars the city pours into police to go back into the neighborhoods.
This isn't something that's just cute or something that we come out to just make a statement. This is our life.
Some of the activists, now familiar faces.
Look at all of those women out there. Look at all of those women out there in solidarity with their signs up advocating for the defunding of the police. Look at this solidarity over in Chicago, and they're trying to defund the police. So this is what you asked for. You voted based off of who came and gave you the solution for what it is that you wanted. You got out there and you were advocates for this. See, the beautiful thing about the time that we live in is because we got the receipts now. We got the receipts now. You advocated for defunding the police. So, why are we complaining? Why are we sitting here complaining? Why are we sitting here complaining about your mama walking down the street and getting her head knocked in when this is the thing that you advocated before? Don't worry about it. We got more receipts. I'm just pulling this up as I go. Literally, I didn't even plan on going this far. Let's see what Mayor Johnson then came through and said.
Spending more on policing per capita anywhere else in the world has been a failure.
Well, he once sponsored a Cook County board resolution to reduce police funding. And to
do we not have the receipts? Can we not go back and the very person that's sitting here talking about how the police need to do more with less because we're going to sponsor a cut in the police, and then he gave you what you wanted. He told you what he was going to do. You voted for him in office, and now you have to sit here and hold him accountable for what it is that he's doing as far as managing the city. That's why I'm not completely going to leave it on him. I think that he's a horrible mayor. I think that he's nothing more than a preacher that's walking around talking a lot with his spiked haircut, but he's not necessarily doing anything for the city. He's no different than Lori Lightfoot, but y'all voted her in there just because of her alphabet community ties. So what is it any different? If he's a reflection of the people that voted for him, why are you sitting here complaining about the state of your city and saying that we're going to sign a petition? No, the petition that you had was the person that came in and said that they were going to do what it is that you voted for. And so they're implementing the policies that you advocated for. So why are you now complaining about the state of your neighborhoods when you won't even do the thing that's in your own best interest? You know who the robbers are. You know who the killers are. You defunded the police. You stopped snitching. You started advocating for the people to get out of jail. They released all of the criminals. They gave them back to you. And now you mad because they knocking over everybody in your neighborhood, including your mama that's 51 years old that's trying to get home from work at night. What you whining about?
Today, candidate for mayor Brandon Johnson said he would cut the Chicago police budget by at least $150 million. He proposes to spend billions of dollars more on social services, including mental health and youth employment.
Our political.
And guess what? You know what they did? They brought in a bunch of migrants. They put in a bunch of funding to make sure that they house them. They defunded your police. And now they're saying that the police should be supporting them more. They cut the budget. They cut how much they make. They put their lives on the line for y'all every single day. They acquiesced over to Black Lives Matter, which was ran by a bunch of self-identified Marxists and a bunch of women that then told y'all and led y'all into the slaughter. And now you a victim and caged, and you're a prisoner in your own home. And as a result of it, you're going to sit here and complain to us about it? It's my fault? You had a bunch of 20 and 21 years old and 19-year-olds and 18-year-old women out here telling you what it is that you should do with your police and how it is that you need to be managing your neighborhood, and you want to sit here and hold us accountable for it, and now they want to tax us even more in order to give federal dollars over to y'all so y'all can run in the Victim Olympics, and then you want to ask for reparations on top of it. Let me tell you what happens when you mix money with bad judgment. You create a cocktail bomb that just completely explodes and decimates everything around it, because money does not solve for the problem. If you do not allocate it properly, money just makes things worse. It makes it exponentially worse. It does not make you a better person. It makes you more of what you already are. So now we're having a conversation about defunding the police. Where did all of that go? How come we not having that conversation no more? How come nobody is talking about defunding the police anymore? I remember some of y'all that's in the chat right now. You argued with me. You went back and forth with me. You jumped on the panels. You decided to hold me accountable. You said that I was Uncle Tom, even though you didn't know that Uncle Tom was the hero, because you don't understand your history. And you said, Anton, you're wrong because we should be defunding the police. And you had conversations with me on a regular basis. I remember it. I will never forget it. And I'm going to throw it back in your face because I told you we was going to be back here. And this is the time for me to then bring it and throw it back in your face and hold you accountable for it, because I do not feel sorry for the very ones that advocated, voted, put the people in place that is then giving you what you want, and now you want to sit here and complain about it. You want Batman to come through and fix Gotham City. Nope. Nope. We will not save you from yourself. I repeat, we will not save you from yourself. I'm going to be reading that super chat shortly. Shout out to Devastator. I appreciate you. So this is what we going to do. Let's make some modifications, y'all. Let's make some modifications. This is what we going to do. The news crew that started reporting on the different robberies that was happening was then robbed at gunpoint. Let's go into the story specifically. Chicago television news crew reporting on a string of robberies. Y'all worse than the mob. At least the mob had ways in which they would go about doing things. At least they had a code of conduct. Reporting on a string of robberies, ended up robbed themselves after they were accosted at gunpoint by 3 armed men wearing ski masks. Y'all got some balls out here. Spanish language station, Univision Chicago. They didn't even speak no English. They was on Univision. I don't speak no English. Said a reporter and a photographer were filming just before 5 a.m. Now, you know that the sun ain't up in Chicago. You're not even safe when the sun is up. Monday on Chicago's West Town neighborhood when 3 masked men brandishing firearms robbed them, taking their television camera and other items. This is insane. They ain't even got no money, fam. You just took the television camera. They were approached with guns and robbed. Mainly it was personal items because they took a camera. News crew was filming a story about robberies in a war-torn community that was slated to run in the morning news, and he said the footage they shot was stolen with the camera and the story never made it on air. Chicago police identified the victims as a 21-year-old man and a 42-year-old man. Police said the pair was outside when the 3 men drove up in a gray sedan and a black SUV. After the armed robbers took a few items from the news crew, they fled in the vehicles. No injuries. No injuries was reported. Nobody is in custody. Ever. Nobody is ever in custody. Unreal. Unreal. So, here's my question. Here's my question to the people out here. At what point are you going to be tired of being sick and tired? Because I know you're tired of being sick and tired, but at what point are you going to get tired of being sick and tired? At what point are you going to say, you know what, Anton? We was wrong. Let me get back under your covering. You right. I don't want to be a prisoner in my own home, in my own city, and I don't want to be afraid to even be able to go out to work so that I can earn money to give over to the federal government so that they can defund the police and they can reallocate the funds towards the people that don't care nothing about me. At what point do you then get off the plantation and say, you know what? I'm tired of being sick and tired. And does it have to happen to you personally before you realize that you are under duress? Krishawn Humphrey, I appreciate you for the 2-ball. Thank you, my friend. You are absolutely positively awesome. Yannick Cassie is in the building, says, here's my participation to that $4,000 flex, bro. Listen, that ain't no flex. I'm under duress over here. I'm suffering. I am suffering. Hey, listen. I love my wife. But if anybody want to take her off my hands, you got to take the payments that go along with it. That's my only... Listen, I don't stop anybody from walking away. If you decide that you want to take her off my hands, you got to take the payments along with it. You got to take the cost along with it. Absolutely, positively got to take the cost along with it. Shout out to you, my friend. See, this is why I got to work so hard. I need every $5 that I can get out here in these streets. Ghost Shells is in the building with the fireball. I appreciate you. Thank you for holding me down, my friend. Ghost Shells also says, living in Miami, part of your Patreon. Living in Miami, part of your Patreon, looking to move to the Midwest, making over 200 bands a year. 2 bands a year. Living in Miami is insane. Housing in the Midwest is half the price. Housing in the Midwest is half the price. Shout out to you, Ghost Shells, and shout out to the Bag Chasers. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Aaron says, no more Chicago Bulls slander. Worry about the trash Pistons. Y'all will be last for the foreseeable future. Chi-Town, stand up. Hey, you know what's so funny about Aaron? You know what's so funny about this super chat? Aaron ain't even living in Chicago no more. Aaron is rooting for Chicago from a distance. Continuing to level up, being a bag chaser, and also getting better jobs and opportunities and being a great father for his son, but he won't raise his kid in Chicago. Aaron, why don't you move back to Chicago? Why don't you move back to Chicago, Aaron? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We'll get there. Izzy is in the building. Shout out to Izzy. Izzy says, lived in the shop for 6 years. Beautiful and fun city. But something demonic is occupying that place. Left in 2019, and I will likely never visit again. Chris James is in the building, says, hey, Anton, there was a shooting at the baseball game. Mayor and his staff started running when the news people started asking the right questions. Send that article to me. You know we got to bring them to the front of the congregation. Thank you, Chris James. My dog, Blaze Skywalker, is in the building, says they are on Fannie Willis' ass for locking up Trump. Shout out to Blaze. I appreciate you for the 20 ball. Devastator says, now, I wouldn't say defund the police. I just say remove the crooked police officers who know they are there, who know they are. Shout out to you. I don't believe in crooked police officers either. Jay Tay says, I live here. Here. Shout out to you. We're going to get you there. We're going to get you there. I live here, and I'm not going to lie. You're going to put the E in front of the N. All right, I'm a C student, but I know my punctuation, and I know my consonants and vowels. I be scared to go outside. Little kids is robbing people. Shout out to Jay Tay. I appreciate you for the super chat, but I got to hold you accountable, fam. We got to do better. We're going to have to do better. Jamal Fowler is in the building, said $5 just because. Shout out to Jamal Fowler. I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you guys for continuing to hold me down. We got a whole show to get to. So shout out to the 2,200 people that is in here doing great things. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm broke out here in these streets. I just bought a new car. So I'm out here being a dusty. Let me take this off real quick. I don't want the people from Chicago coming up to Detroit. I'm broke out here, so I don't want to continue to be a dusty. Make sure y'all hit a like for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Let's go into the next thing. The police rammed through a blockade at the Burning Man festival. So white people ain't even safe out here in these streets. We're not going to have no protesting. We're not going to have you slowing up the money. We're not going to have you out here trying to slow people down from living in the desert and partying and not having no toilets and then being able to act like butterflies and fairies and worship the moon star and all of that, right? So make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm. Let's continue, y'all.
Please, this is a public property, please. No, you're on public property.
Wait for the cops.
No, we got to get through. I'm sorry. Help us, people. We got shit to do. Sorry. We got to move this mess.
Whoa.
Dude.
Whoa.
We're changing.
Ain't it funny to me? I think it's absolutely hilarious. I think it's absolutely hilarious, the things that's meaningful to some people, honestly. And I'm not even talking about the people that's trying to go to the Burning Man Festival that don't want to be out there naked and having a good time. Hey, do your thing. You plan for this all year. You got your campers. You got your pickup trucks. You're about to be out there at the Burning Man Festival. And you know what I'm about to start doing? I'm about to start going into events and things that I've never thought about going to in my entire life. I'm about to start going out to things and events that I've never been to in my entire life. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to document Burning Man Festival. I'm going to start going to the hippie things and all of this other type of stuff, right? Because These people are protesters, right? What you see right here are people that are blocking the one road that allows for people to actually get over into the festival so they can set up and have a good time. And so they're blocking the festival based off of being tree huggers and climate change activists. And they're saying that the people participating in this festival are not doing a thing that's in the best interest of the community and the planet.
You gotta get along. My kids are road. You can't walk the road. You're going to hurt someone. I don't care.
Look, there's traffic coming.
There's people with medical problems here, and you want them to be in the outside.
They call the cops. They call the cops.
Yeah. Call the cops. Call the cops.
Call the cops.
Call the cops. Who says we're not the cops? Call the cops. Show me your badge. Call the cops. Call the cops.
Lock it. Lock into the entrance right now. Get over here.
People together. Wait for the cops. No, the cops are coming. They're right over there.
Right now, baby. Lock in.
They're striking for climate change. They're striking for climate change. And so these people decided to spend it. Yo, of all the things that you could possibly be doing, I just have to think that y'all have to be busier than this. When I start to break down how much my time is worth, I just can't allocate a whole day over there to sitting in the sun trying to block people that's ultimately going to get to their destination anyway from where it is that they're trying to be. From where it is that they're trying to be. Shout out to the Objective Hustler. I'm going to be reading that super chat shortly. Oh, shit. Hold on. Let me see if I can get this back up for y'all.
Please, this is a problem. We're not burners.
Baby,
Get the
calm
cop.
down. Lock
Get the
yourself
cop. So you.
Calm. Lock yourself in. I'm staying here. Come on.
Have y'all ever seen anybody lock themselves onto a...
And then out here you're like an animal. Look at this plot coming out. This is a democracy. Yeah, it's a democracy. We have a lot of people that you're on the road. And you guys are doing...
Are you a burner?
This is how we're trying to wake up the highway patrolman. Yes, but like, you guys are up the highway.
Have y'all ever seen a woman lock themselves... lock themselves on a tree or lock themselves in the middle of the road like this? Have y'all ever seen anybody lock themselves on a tree or lock themselves on the middle of the road like this? You got to be a real dedicated person or really have a lot of confidence that somebody not going to walk up and knock your head off as a result of it. I have never in real life seen people that would be, they should do that in Chicago. Hey fam, I honestly believe that y'all should go to O Block in Chicago and lock yourself onto a street pole and say that you're advocating for better and stay there for 24 hours all through the night and then see what happens. How come they never do this in spaces where they feel like people is going to actually do something about it? How come they don't never do it where people got switches on they pistols? How come they never do it where people got silencers on they pistols? They only do it in places where they know that they can't actually have anything happen to them as a result of it. But they gonna learn today.
You don't seem like you're in an official capacity if you're blocking me, but this is not how you do it. I know how you do it. I don't know.
Baby, lock in and shut up, please.
How are we gonna
lock
change the world
in.
doing this, man? Every change in society came from civil disobedience. All of them. Of course it does, man. But
I'm never letting a man with a man bun ever tell me what to do.
not just here. Is there a highway patrol? We're waiting for cops. What's going on? Hey.
Yes, we'll get it.
And they got an abolish capitalism sign out there. They're fighting back. They got their army fatigues on, their cowboy hats on.
Traffic jam and people can get hurt like this. Get out the way.
We're getting hurt because of climate change. Look at what's happening in Maui. Look at what's happening right now in Canada.
We gotta get to Reno. Get out the way. Get out the way.
People are getting hurt by the system every single day. Hey, hurting me.
Well, you turn yourself to it. Come on through.
Move. You guys they need to get through.
Your marketing.
Look at all of them cars. Now, what y'all have to also understand is that it's a lot of people out there, like it's a lot of people that's going to the Burning Man Festival, and it's just wrapping around the mountain and it's wrapping around the road, and it's only one road to be able to get there, right? And so they strategically lock themselves or they chain themselves to this one part of the road in order to disrupt things. So because they so selfish and they think that they're so important that they can chain themselves to something in order to do what? Bring awareness to climate change, as though we haven't had this conversation and that people have already drawn their line in the sand of whether or not they even believe in it or not. So they block the whole road off. And it's not even just a bunch of people going to Burning Man. This is a lot of people that's trying to get to their destination all across the board. It's some people going to Reno, it's some people trying to get over to Vegas, it's some people that's trying to get to different parts of the country. And it's only one way to get there. And so they actually blocked off the entire road in order to do this dumb shit. Don't put your hands up now.
I'm gonna take all of you out. You better move. You're gonna go back.
We need more people we need more cops like this. These are the type of cops that we need in Chicago. These are the type of cops that we need over in San Francisco. Listen, I believe in giving the whole budget. Give the whole budget to the police for the next 5 years and let them do what they do. Give them all of the equipment, give them all of the guns, give them all of the batons, give them all of the safety equipment. Listen, if I was mayor, I would have everything else run on a shoestring budget. If I was the mayor of any of these big cities, I would have everything else run on a shoestring budget. I would give the police the entire budget and then let them do what it is that they do. I would say, yo, if you need RoboCop, if you need to go and get in contact with Boston Dynamics, you guys have the entire budget for the next 5 years. Fix this shit. Don't worry about it. We'll ask questions later. We'll ask for forgiveness later, but we coming in here like the military. Tear everything down, kick everything over, tear her couch up and get them drugs up out of there. Figure out who doing what and knock everything down. Take everything over and lock everybody up. Lock everybody up. Do the same thing that y'all doing here over in Chicago. Do the same thing you're doing here over in Philly. Do the same thing. And lock everybody up.
Get out now! Get out! On the ground!
Hey, somebody get that cop an award. Somebody get that cop an award.
On the ground now! Get on the ground! We're not violent! Get on the ground!
No, we're not
Don't
violent!
Put your knee in that hoe's shoulder. Put your knee, right? Listen. I want every cop to learn the knee in the muffin top method. If you do not put your knee in her muffin top, you will be reprimanded. That's why you can't make me the leader of no police facility. I believe in getting everybody up out of there. If you don't put your knee in her muffin top, put it right on the side of the muffin top the same way every single time. I want every woman that's over here causing a disruption, that is being violent, that is blocking off the road and causing more climate change than the thing that they advocating against. Put your knee in her muffin top and press it in. Press that muffin top in. I want you as a police officer to be a waist trainer. Every police officer needs to know the waist trainer method of putting your knee inside of her muffin top. That way she understands that the next time that you chain yourself to a chain link fence in the middle of a road, it's a strong possibility that I'm going to be your waist trainer.
No one has a gun.
Arrest everybody. Look at that knee in that muffin top.
Environmental protesters! Please!
Trespassing on tribal land.
Please!
Stop resisting! Stop resisting!
Yeah, do the straddle method. Straddle method. The minute that even if she don't resist, tell her to stop resisting. Even if she not resisting, tell her to stop resisting and then straddle her. Straddle her just like a pig. Get her. Whoop that trick. Get her. Whoop that trick. Get her. Whoop that trick. Get her. Whoop that. And I want your partner to be pulling her leg straight so that she can't then try to get some leverage to where she can still do what she want to do. Partner, pull her leg back so that she don't get any leverage. Let me straddle, put the knee in the back, cuff her up. Then I don't even want y'all to use regular police handcuffs. I want you to use the ties. To where it's hard on her wrists. Pull that leg up.
Our friend is getting
Hog tired.
She was just standing here. What the
He actually tying her legs. Is he tying her legs? Throw all of that crap away. Get that junk up out of here. Y'all spent all of that time making them signs. Now we got to throw it away. Don't cry either. Everybody is arrested. Everybody getting cussed. Everybody going to jail. Everybody going to be playing basketball in Pelican Bay.
Oh, great.
I like these.
Yeah, make a video.
Where's Bernie Man at? We need to go to Chicago. I want Navy SEALs in Chicago.
Freedom News TV.
What is Freedom News?
Now everybody can go back and enjoy their day. You know what I'm saying? That's the method for how you solve for insubordination. You solve for insubordination by being aggressive. Solve for insubordination by being aggressive. He was dressed like a doctor with a hard hat on. Let me read some of these super chats and then we're going to continue on with the show. I appreciate y'all. Jay Tay said, I'm going to bring myself to the front of the congregation. He said, as a man, I have to take full accountability for my poor grammar. In the last super chat, I was typing too fast, but there is no excuse for my... Listen, you see how much more effective that he typed that message? Ain't no ain't and does. It's not here, it's here. You see how... This is why we have to hold each other accountable. And I appreciate you, JT, not only for the super chat, but also presenting yourself differently. And this is what men do. Men don't sit here and complain about the circumstances behind why it is that you hold them accountable. They say, you know what? I ain't trying to be looking like no fool out here. Let me type it a little bit differently so that we can actually be able to communicate effectively. Shout out to JT for typing that back out like a man. Running that thing through Grammarly and ChatGPT, making sure that you spell corrected and Word and everything. Yo, I'm with it, JT. Shout out to you, fam. Don't tell me that people can't do it. I know you can do it. I see y'all doing it. Y'all code switch when y'all feel comfortable code switching at work. Don't code switch up on me. Don't start talking about and when you're around me. No, I want you to talk proper English. I need to be able to understand what you're saying. And I want you to enunciate your words correctly. Shout out to JT. Let me give you the clap. I don't usually get a clap just easily. See that? See that? Brought itself to the front of the congregation, but he's not going to do it unless we call it out. Unless we hold each other accountable for the things that's right. And it's a difference between constructive criticism and being a hater. I want y'all to separate the two. It's a difference between constructive criticism and being a hater, okay? Constructive criticism is that you're pushing people and holding them accountable because you want them to do better. Being a hater is just somebody that just don't like you, and so they're going to criticize everything you do just because they feeling some type of way about themselves. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Shout out to my dog, Objective Hustler, in the building. Says, stopping by to show some love. Sent you an email. Keep cooking. Pocket Watching with JT posted a video of the people making it rain at InvestFest. Oh no, not making it rain at InvestFest. See, I got a completely different perspective. I was listening to Erica Classy Climb. Shout out to my girl Erica. Erica's Classy Climb. I love Erica. Actually, Erica is gonna be in Detroit, and we're gonna be cooking up right here in the and Don't Do Coke in the Bathroom Studios. Erica was saying that she got a lot of good out of it, but she experienced it a little bit differently. Shout out to the Objective Hustler. Shout out to Pocket Watching with JT. I appreciate you guys. Anastasia Rodriguez says, these people never have experienced true violence. Shout out to you. I appreciate you. JT is in the building, says, now they want to scream and cry. Facts. I appreciate you. Cliff Williams, What up, though? Hit me with 2 super chats. Let me just hit you with that one. Says, I advocate for excessive force in these situations. Also says, Anton, you see the protesters that put their hands in concrete? I did. I seen that dumb junk. Jake Fever, what up, though? Says, man, what JT talking about? Lie, yo, trust. Oh, Jacquel is in the building, says, yo, Anton, I can't stop laughing, man. You hilarious. Daytime comedy is a must. Bag, light chaser going up. Shout out to all of the Patreon members and the bag chasers in the building. I appreciate you. I love you. I think that you guys are the greatest audience on earth. And we have over 2,000 people in here running it up on a regular basis. Shout out to my Facebookians and my Utopians out here in the building. Make sure that y'all share this with your family and friends. Let's get to the next thing. Shout out to Jacquel and the bag chaser. If y'all not a part of the Patreon, the link is in the description. It's the greatest group on earth. And if you want to continue to follow me or reach out to me on other social platforms, follow me on Instagram. That link is in the description. Twitter, TikTok, Threads, all of that. It's in the description. Don't follow anybody else. I don't have any alternative accounts, no backup accounts. If y'all see an account that make it up and say, oh, this is Anton's backup account, come invest in crypto, is not me. I will never reach out to you and tell you to send me money. I will never reach out to you in the DMs and say, let's do business. I will never reach out to you on another platform with an alternative account and say, hey, let's get into this crypto business together. It is not me. And until I clean up all of these fake accounts from me, know that the only way that you can follow me is from the links in the description. All right, let's get into the next thing. What are we talking about this time? Oh, I had to bring this up. Somebody sent this to me in the email. Somebody sent this to me in the email. Somebody sent this to me in my email. Umar Johnson, 3-time Johnson. Peace and Pan-Africanism. Peace and Pan-Africanism. Peace and Pan-Africanism. I will be on Rumble starting next month. I will be streaming on Rumble also. Peace and Pan-Africanism. Peace and Pan-Africanism. What is going on with this? Are y'all not watching a Wednesday night show? Are y'all not watching a Wednesday night show where I am breaking down exactly how it is that you vet effectively for a wife and how wives are supposed to be operating under the submission and the advocating for their husbands? Have y'all not been tuning into the Wednesday night show? I'm going to be live streaming tonight on the Anton Daniels channel. Every Wednesday night, I go live, and I'm going to be live streaming, and I'm going to be having a conversation with you guys, helping you to level up and showing you what it takes in order to vet effectively. I'm going to play this. And I'm going to show you why you need to be tuning into the Wednesday night show. Let's get into it.
To all of my ladies in the dating pool, let me show you how to redirect your way out of a low budget experience. Okay, this is a potential suitor. He has no number saved because period. Y'all already know how I roll. Good morning.
Yo, I have a question. Before we get into this, what is this period thing? Just curious, been hearing it for years. I know it's a black woman thing. I've seen a few white women use it also, out of context, but I've seen a few white women use it. What is this whole period in the middle of a run-on sentence? Just curious. What is this period thing in the middle of a run-on sentence? Because you know how I period roll. Why do y'all say that? You do know that makes you more annoying. Or does it? Because when y'all sent me this video, apparently she's a person that has a lot of followers. So, for example, and I have not seen this yet, but somebody said that I needed to react to it. Says, good morning. It was great speaking to you last night. I woke up so refreshed. I would love to take you to coffee this week. Does Wednesday work? So it sounds like a man that has his stuff together. He's been listening to the Wednesday night show. He know that Anton says that you are not supposed to be spending no money, practically $0 in order to vet a woman effectively. And if she does not fall under your covering, if she is not cool with it, if all she's there for is to get you and label you as food in her phone, then it is easy to be able to vet out these women, but they're making adjustments. Guess what? These same women are watching the Wednesday night show along with you, and they're ghost watchers. And they're making adjustments, and they're now making videos to then be able to finesse you in other ways. And so we have to make adjustments also. You got to adjust to the adjustment. You got to adjust to the adjustment. So he already gave her a compliment. First thing that he shouldn't have did. He already told her that it was great speaking to her last night. Nope. He already told her that he woke up so refreshed just from a conversation. You refreshed? Too many compliments. You done already baked this girl's weave up too much. But let's see what she got to say.
It was great speaking with you last night. I woke up so refreshed. I would love to take you to coffee this week. Does Wednesday work? Okay. You cannot take me to coffee or tea on the first dates. It's not equitable for me. I don't drink coffee and my perfume costs too much. So don't play. All right. So I hail from corporate America. We're going to use the sandwich effect here. 6 years in the C-suite. We about to use this. Okay. Boom.
So here's my question. I'm not saying that it's not true. I'm not saying that she's not absolutely positively telling the truth. But here's my question. Do you believe for 1 second that this woman has spent 6 years in the C-suite in any role other than a secretary in which she had to code switch to survive? Just curious. Do you believe that this woman has spent 6 years in the C-suite of any company outside of a record label? Do you believe that this woman was in corporate America spending 6 years in the C-suite, controlling, directing, managing people, making sure that she's going over budgets, that everybody is green lit, that we don't have any projects that's in the red, that everybody is participating in their transitioning over from a waterfall to an agile methodology, that they're making sure that they're moving projects along and that they have a completely different philosophy and they're evolving over into making sure that they're project focused instead of being product focused? Do you think that this woman in any way, shape, or form has operated in a C-suite for the last 6 years and that she was successful doing it? Just curious. I'm not saying that she didn't. I'm just saying that I'm using my context clues in order to draw a conclusion. Let's continue. She says she's going to use a sandwich method. I've never heard of it before. As far as dating, let's see how she implements it.
I say, good morning. It was great speaking with you also. It's actually restaurant week coming up. Here's the link. Let me know which one you decide. I'm looking forward to it. So we're going to start off with something good, okay? It was great speaking with you also. I'm not even addressing the coffee, baby. We're going to redirect you in the middle, then I'm going to end with something great saying, I'm looking forward to seeing you. We're also putting the ball back in his court because he's a grown-ass man, okay? You need to make the decision. So he goes, I just looked over the options. Let's do Italian. Perfect. So he goes, Wednesday at 7 p.m. I'm like, works for me. I'm in Alexandria and I'm not far. If you could pick me up or send me an Uber, that would be awesome, because why would you want me working on cobblestone? Why would you want me looking for parking? Sounds laborious to me. He goes, no problem. I'll send an Uber around 6:15. Baby is a new man. He is a new man. And I go, wonderful. Thank you. Ask for what you want. Be polite in your ass. Be a little bit difficult and always say please and thank you.
Y'all see the finesse? Do you see the finesse? They're giving you their blueprint for how it is that they're going to operate within this entire relationship, interaction, situationship, and he just fell right into it. Y'all watched the Wednesday night show last week, and then you completely forgot about what it is that I told you once she sent you a link to Restaurant Week. Y'all operated and y'all just completely lost it. And this is why I got to continue to do Wednesday night shows. I'm not happy about having to spend my Wednesday night on teaching y'all how to operate and vet out a woman effectively. And so he responded because he operating out of duress instead of operating out of abundance. If you've had multiple different women, yo, I wish I could show y'all in real time. I can't show you in real time because then you're going to be criticizing me and you're going to be feeling in some type of way because you're going to say, Anton been married for the last 20 years. Well, Anton can actually give you the game if you understood how to move a little bit differently. And if I showed you it in real time, or I was actually showing you what the fuck was happening in my DMs, you would feel a little bit different about how it is that you operate here. Let me tell you something. The first thing he should have did was just absolutely ignored it. Acted like he never got the text message in the first place. Act like he never got the text message in the first place. He should have never even responded. First of all, let me back up a little bit. He should have never complimented her. Most dudes that's really about that life, I'm about to give y'all the game. We don't even text like that. We don't even text like that. You can't get in touch with me on no text message. What you talking about? Everything, because text messages can be misinterpreted. You can't really hear the tone. You can't read the body language. And don't you know that communication is 90% body language? So you can't really even feel my masculinity and you can't hear what it is that I'm telling you because you so focused on text messages. Text messages. Don't you know I come from a sales background? I'm not texting back and forth with you so that A, you can have some form of evidence, and then B, you can't communicate effectively with me so that you can understand exactly what it is. No, I'm not even responding to you. I'm not going to compliment you. I'm not going to respond to you. I'm not sending you a message first. I'm not doing any of that because I'm busy. Secondly, any woman that then don't even recognize or acknowledge the fact that you invited her out for coffee in the first place is a red flag. Let her go. So many of y'all are trying to overcome obstacles. One of the first lessons in sales is that people do things because they like you, not necessarily because you got the best product. They have to like you, meaning that they'll do anything for you, even if they don't necessarily agree with what it is that you're selling them, just because they like you, and they'll learn to love it simply because you've been effective in your communication. They have to learn to like you, right? That's the first rule of sales. The second rule of sales is law of averages. Now, some of you may not be familiar with this because you don't know what sales is. You've never had a sales background, and you don't know what it means to grind and hustle. Law of averages means that you don't spend an extraordinary amount of time around people that you cannot close or is not going to be best for what it is that you're doing from a business perspective. Meaning that if you have a lot of options, why spend an extraordinary amount of time around people that will not go in the direction that you're trying to take them? You're not paying attention. Everything you do in this lifetime is sales. When you tell your kid to go to school and be a good girl, you're basically selling them on the idea of them doing a thing that's in their own best interest, even if they don't know it. Law of averages, meaning that you want to spend the majority of your time where you're appreciated, not necessarily where you're tolerated. Why would you spend your time around somebody or people trying to overcome objections? And that's one of the things that they try to teach you in sales, but you have to spend a limited amount of time. The only time you want to try to overcome objection is when you're trying to get past the gatekeeper. You're already there. She already knows whether or not she want to do business with you. She already knows whether or not she want to have sex with you. She already knows whether or not she's going to put you on her phone as food. Why do you want to try to overcome objection and slot yourself differently instead of controlling the narrative and then focusing on the rules of what it takes in order to manifest greatness when it comes to getting the results? Everything is sales. You're not going to get there by being extra nice. You're not going to get there by being extra complimentary. You're not going to get there by spending an extraordinary amount of time trying to change her ways. She's showing you who she is. She's showing you exactly what it is that she's going to do. She's already ignored exactly what it is that you said that you wanted to do. And then she's saying that I need you to take a leadership role in picking a restaurant that I selected for you. Red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag. She's still operating in her masculinity because she said that I don't like what it is that you're leading me towards. I'm going to select what I'm going to allow for you to select for me based off of what my preferences are. You pick. That's not you leading. That's you being a simp. That's not you being in your masculinity. That's you being feminine. That's you being led. That's you being controlled. That's you being finessed out of all of your money and all of your bags only for her to go and then give that box up to the dude that she really likes and the one that she was going to give it up to in the first place. This ain't Wednesday night. I'm sorry. The question that I have to ask you guys, and this is going for the ladies, because I got a whole sermon that I'm going to develop for my fellas tonight. And I don't know what I'm going to say, but I'm going to get there. Wednesday night, I'm going to develop the sermon for y'all. Ladies, y'all can tune in. Make sure that you have your husband tune in so he can lead you correctly. But here's a question for my ladies as we go over into the next part of this show. The second half of the show is beginning shortly. Shout out to the new me. Shout out to the new me, Michaela. I love you. I'm going to be reading these super chats shortly. Here's my question to you ladies. Don't you understand that low budget dates actually allow for you to see who the person is that you truly trying to get your submission, give your submission to? Don't you realize that it's nothing that you can learn from a man that's sitting across from you at the dinner table that's feeding you Italian food? Don't you realize that the person that invites you over, because most dudes that I know that wind up going on a date with a woman that he's actually vetting for marriage and he's worth his salt, meaning that he's a high value man, is not leading with his money in order to get her. He's actually the dude that you should be talking to so you can more effectively see if that's the person that you should be doing business with. But because women are so short-sighted, they'd rather take a meal than get the $4,000 in order to do the thing that they really wanted to do, like my chick called me and asked me for earlier in this live stream. You'd rather get a $150 meal than get $1 million worth of game in real life. Think about that shit. You cutting off your nose. You hurting yourself. She's giving such bad advice because she's advising you guys to do the thing that's worse for you and play along with the simp that's going to feed her a $150 meal as though that's meaningful when she can get the whole shebang. You short-sighted. And that's the question that I have for the women. Why are you taking dog food when you can get the whole fucking shebang? What if you went and got some hot chocolate because you said that you don't like coffee? You'll go get some fucking tea. What if you went and got some tea and then that allowed for you to really be able to get into the bag? Because you may not even want to date the dude, but you may want to have this guy as a part of your network. But if he ever realizes that he got finessed, you cut off forever. So why wouldn't you then make sure that you treat everybody with a level of respect, go out and enjoy it, have a good time, build, be able to have conversations about things that's outside of just what it is that you used to talking about before you get bust down. And then you then make sure that you connect with a person and you maintain that great relationship and that great rapport over a period of time. Even if you guys wind up not getting together or you wind up not getting into a relationship, you still maintain that rapport that allows for you to then present yourself in a good light. And then you have a connection for the rest of your life. But because we so short-sighted and because we so busy trying to finesse each other, we don't understand that you actually hurting yourself versus helping yourself by then putting yourself in the best position possible to be looked at as a person that is of value to the person that you're having a conversation with. You don't really want to have the conversation. You don't really want to vet people out effectively. You don't even really know if this dude was supposed to be your husband, but you were so busy trying to finesse him and you trying to lead him down this path of destruction and you teaching other women to think the same type of way. All you doing is hurting them. You're not helping them. You're not putting yourself in the best position possible. Nobody that has ever met me in person, not one person that has ever met me in person, can ever say that I am not one of the most genuine, helpful, pour into you, add value into your life first before you ever even have a conversation with me. And that's why the people are so loyal. That's why the people rock with me. That's why I haven't applied for a job since like 2010. All of the positions came to me. That's why the position that I have today in corporate America that makes me a huge bag, if you want to see my W-2, go over to the Patreon, link is in the description, is always giving opportunities for me to turn down versus me having a petition for it. And it's because I think differently. I understand the importance of building relationships, not doing people wrong, not doing people dirty. And that applies to every single aspect of your life, especially with regard to your relationship, because the person that you lay next to every day, even if it's just for that night, is one of the most important business decisions that you're ever going to make in your entire life. Don't be short-sighted. And don't let no woman ever give you dating advice. She can't help you. She gonna ruin your life and she gonna mess it up for you because you're so busy focusing on whether or not she putting a period before her run-on sentence instead of having a conversation based off of what's in your own best interest. You trying to be out here trying to finesse for a date at Ruth Chris, or you trying to find a husband and you trying to find a network of people that's going in the direction that you're going in. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. Let me move on as we get into the second half of the show. Let me read some of the super chats and see what y'all talking about out here. Patty Jackson is in the building, says, yo, Anton, you think Chicago is bad? I got you a video of 3 9-year-olds robbing a grown white man for his bike in broad daylight in Chicago. My city is sad, bro. Hey, send me that immediately. Send me that immediately. Immediately. And if y'all think this is what we doing on the Millionaire Morning Show, wait till you tune in on Wednesday night. I need everybody on Wednesday night to go over to my other channel, the Anton Daniels channel. For my Facebook people, you stay right there. I'm going to be live streaming tonight. Make sure you share it with your family and friends. We going to be spending the night. Hey, Patty Jackson, send me that AntonDaniels413@gmail.com. That's my email address. Send me that story over to my email address. Shout out to Erin. Erin is in the building, says she was a CEO of Eyelashes and Wigs Incorporated. Shout out to Erin. I appreciate you. Ghost Shells is back in the building. Shout out to Ghost Shells. Let me give Ghost Shells a round of applause. Says, should I get up and move up out of Miami to create some real wealth? Miami has become an expensive dump. Been living here my whole life. Own online business. Listen, I'm going to tell you what it is that I do. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'm going to tell you what I do. I believe in enjoying Miami because I can catch a flight anytime that I want to, but I would never live there, because I believe that it is going to be a city that is going to suffer within the next 10, 15 years. And you can enjoy it. You can always jump on a plane anytime that you want to. I can go and spend my time in Miami all summer. But where it is that I spend and I allocate the majority of my investments is the places that I think is going to make the most sense for the next 10 to 15 years. So I invest all of my money into the Midwest. And I also live and I spend a majority of my summers and my spring and my fall here in Michigan. Michigan is my city. You can pick another Midwest city, or you can go over to somewhere like Nashville, right? You can go over to, I like parts of Ohio. It's a lot of different, I love Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is awesome. So where it is that I allocate my funds is where I think is going to make the most sense long term. And it's a bunch of different reasons for that. I don't want to get into it right now. But I think that Miami is a great place to visit. It is not the place that you want to spend a majority of your time as far as investing. All of the insurance companies are starting to pull out of Miami. South Florida is going to be underwater in so many years. They have not developed a plan to solve for that. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is not solved for that at all. I think that Miami is going to be a wasteland in the years to come, and it's going to be a lot of people moving further up north. So that's just my advice personally. Thank you, Ghost Shells. I appreciate you. Wealth Building Journey is in the building, says she's a chief diversity officer. Facts. Facts. I believe that. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Twisted Up Pup TV. Shout out to you, says one of the biggest problems is women are watching the Wednesday show and adjusting their representative until you fall for them. Be warned. I agree with that. Shout out to you, my friend. Bilderberg Boy is in the building. Shout out to Bilderberg Boy in the building. Says, period is whole language like that part. Yes, you did that. Yeah. And black girl magic, usually used when snatching imaginary objects out of the air. And also, don't forget, they like to twist their neck. They like to do like this when they talking. Yeah, we know the finesse. We know the finesse, Bilderberg Boy. Shout out to you. My girl, the new Michaela, says, hey, Mr. Daniels, she not humble at all. I like Michaela. Michaela is dope. Michaela, hey, send me a DM. You ain't got to send me an email. Send me a DM. You might need some coaching personally. I can't with these high maintenance hoes. Shout out to Michaela, the new one. I appreciate you. I'm just messing with you, baby girl. J Ben says, we eating big Italian and she's paying for it. Now you on a whole nother wave, J-Ben. They not even at level 1. You trying to take them to level 10, bro. Aaron says, my 3-year-old son got 5 and 6-year-old girls fighting over who can share their ice cream with him. He got more juice than most of y'all dudes. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. I appreciate you. Eric Isaacson. Isaacson is in the building. Came through with the 5-ball. Oh, Michela. Shout out to Michela. It's Michela. I apologize. This is a live show. My bad. We Call BS is in the building. Says, Anton. Love you forever, fan. DeWanda. Shout out to DeWanda. My girl is in the building. Anton. Hey, y'all should be live streaming this in y'all church. Y'all should be live streaming this in the daycare where the kids can hear me curse. Y'all should be live streaming this in your kitchen. You should be live streaming this with your grandma because she going to identify with me and she going to say, oh, that's a real one over there. That's a real one over there. Shout out to Ghost Shell says, was looking into Indianapolis. I like Indianapolis. Indianapolis is actually one of the biggest conference cities. I love Indianapolis. Indianapolis has a phenomenal zoo. They got a great downtown. Oh, I forgot about Indianapolis. I remember going bike riding all through Indianapolis. I actually documented it on the Anton Daniels channel. I got to go and revisit Indianapolis. Shout out to my people in Indianapolis. We'll look in the cities you mentioned, visited a few, see what it feels right. Thank you for your comments regarding Miami. You got it, fam. And remember, well, that's a whole nother conversation. I'll do another show on that. Shout out to y'all. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm. And also make sure that you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, Tej Hanley, 30% off your first order plus a free gift. I have news to update. With regard to automakers, I want to talk about Kia's success. I want to talk about the UAW, and I also want to talk about Unifor. Now, a lot of people are not familiar with Unifor. Unifor is the union that is representing Canadians. Now, a little while ago, when Trump was in office, he actually renegotiated NAFTA. NAFTA is the North America Free Trade Agreement that allows for the United States to trade back and forth. And what it is that they're doing as far as allocating workers over in Mexico and in Canada. Well, why is that important? Because a lot of times automakers will move their workers over into Mexico, or they'll build plants down in Mexico in order to cut costs. They used to do that with smaller cars because they couldn't turn a profit on the smaller cars here in the United States of America. Well, what they decided to do was still build some vehicles over in Mexico, but they're not necessarily still making smaller cars because they get bigger profit margins off of these larger vehicles, right? Shout out to the Carolinas, DJ K Smooth in the building. I'm definitely going to be reading that super chat shortly. But Unifor and the UAW decided to negotiate at the same time with United States automakers, with the big three. Okay? Remember, Unifor is the union that then represents what's happening over in Canada, and they have the same type of negotiating style as the United Auto Workers. The UAW, shout out to my people over at Local 600 down here in Dearborn, Michigan, and the Mitten. I appreciate you guys. I used to be a part of Local 600 over at the Rouge Complex. Yeah, they used to be over there building them F-150s and running that steel up through the steel mill. I rock with y'all. Local 600 is in the building. Shout out to my truck drivers. Shout out to everybody that's out here making it happen. All of the people that's working from home. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I want to share with y'all something, and I want to break it down because there's a difference in how people like Kia or companies like Kia, which is a Korean automaker, is operating, and I think that Kia makes some phenomenal vehicles. But I want to show y'all the differences of how these two companies are operating, or how these companies are dealing with the headwinds that they're facing, especially as far as an uncertain economy and all of the different things that they got to deal with, such as the semiconductor chip shortage, the North American Free Trade Agreement, everything. Let's jump into it, y'all. Again, make sure you share this with your family and friends. First, we're going to tackle exactly what's going on with the United Auto Workers and Unifor.
I am declaring today that I've selected Ford Motor Company as the pattern-setting target for AutoTarks 2023.
She can't even say
That's
it
the
already.
word from Unifor President Lana Payne. She's taking Canadian auto workers down a very different path than the UAW for national auto talks. Payne telling GM and Stellantis negotiators to stand down until the Ford deal is reached, which is the longstanding tradition.
Of course, for its part, the United Auto Workers has taken a much more boisterous approach to the talks with the domestic three, shedding tradition. Business editor Rob Maloney takes a look at what the Unifor agreement might mean for talks on this side of the border.
The United Auto Workers and Unifor have long traded notes on their contract talks. This is the first year in many, though, that they've been negotiating at the same time. Yet for all of that unity, they've gone in very different directions. The UAW with a rhetorical scorched earth policy, whereas Unifor is looking for the best contract it can get as quickly as it can. Unifor President Lana Payne believes that they can make the September 18th deadline with Ford strike-free.
We've made progress with them in a week. We'll see how it goes, but obviously at this point in time, we wouldn't have selected Ford as a target if we didn't feel confident about where we could get to.
Ford of Canada HR VP Stephen Major obviously pleased Ford of Canada can now control its destiny. Quote, Ford of Canada and Unifor have a long track record of productive collaboration. For our industry, this is a time like no other, and success requires us to adapt. At Ford, we are committed to finding new approaches, new solutions, and the flexibility required to be successful in the short and long term in Canada, end quote.
So here's the key. All right, let me break this down from y'all from a C student's perspective, because it may be a lot of information and it may not be something that you can consume in its entirety to where you can make an informed decision as to whether or not you want to invest in these companies. Maybe you work for these companies. Maybe you're a part of Canada. Shout out to all of my Canadians. And you are going to be affected as a supplier. Maybe some of you guys have a father or a son or a daughter or a niece or an auntie that works at one of these automakers that's here in the United States. Anything, right? Because all of these industries are interdependent on each other in order for them to be able to survive and thrive with us here in the United States of America, right? So let me break it down from a C student's perspective. What usually happens during these negotiating times, in which it usually happens at different times. Unifor always negotiates at a different time than the UAW because the contracts is happening up in Canada and the manufacturing plants is completely different than what happens here in the United States. However, it is very similar, even though they take different approaches. But one thing is similar amongst them is that they always pick one target first so that they can set the precedent for how it is that they want to negotiate with other automakers. So usually they'll pick GM. Most times in my lifetime, I've always seen them pick Ford first. I've always seen them pick Ford first. Why? Because Ford tends to be the one that is better negotiating or is more profitable or tends to extend more grace over to the automakers. And then what happens is they then target GM afterwards, and then they target Chrysler, which is now Stellantis, last, because Chrysler tends to be the weakest of the three, right? But what happens is they set them as a strike target, and they basically say, hey, if we can't get a deal done, by this time, then we're going to set a deadline in which we're going to start affecting your bottom line. Yes, it's going to affect our members, but we think that it's going to hurt you more. And Ford has recently taken out a loan. I bet you guys were not familiar with that. Even if companies are incredibly profitable, they still leverage and take out a loan so that they never default on, or they'll have capital investment, because often at times, depending on the terms of the loan, it's cheaper to take out money than to reinvest the money that you then profit from what it is that you make from selling cars or financing, right? And so what they did was they picked Ford first as a strike target and as a negotiation target so that they can then settle and then exchange notes with the UAW, and the UAW exchange notes with Unifor, so that they can then hopefully come to an agreement that then betters the lives of their members, and they can make a lot more money, and then Ford can avoid catastrophic strike in which they don't have any workers on the line making cars that they can then sell over to the consumers. Ford, for their part, and then all the other automakers, and leading up to this possible contract talk, then over-manufactured a bunch of cars that is now sitting on the lots of dealers just in case they get struck, so that they don't lose customers and they can continue to sell cars that they then finance over to you in which you give all of your money over for the next 60, 72, 84, and 96 months. All right, let's continue.
They don't give a crap about our workers.
No such niceties from
Now, think about it. Do you see the difference between the union leader over at Unifor and the union leader over at the UAW? The union leader over at Canada's Unifor and the union leader over there at the UAW. The leader over at the UAW that is then going to be at the negotiating table or is already at the negotiating table with the automakers is taking a scorched earth approach, which I think is a mistake. They're taking a scorched earth approach and that they're saying, hey, F you, let me give you the middle finger. Y'all don't care about the workers. Make sure that you acquiesce over into our demands or we're going to be absolutely pissed as a result of it. Unifor has taken a completely different approach. They're saying, listen, we love our people. We love the company that we work for. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have jobs anyway. So let's negotiate and let's try to figure out how we can progress in the benefit of the workers so that they'll be more willing to do the things that's in the best interest of the company. We're all in this together. They both have strike dates. They both have targets as far as who it is that they want to negotiate with first, but it's completely separate approaches as to why it is that they're going about doing things.
UAW President Shawn Fain.
So I'll tell you what I'm going to do with their proposal. I'm going to file it in its proper place.
Fain declaring the domestic three the target and may not pick one at all. Wayne State University union expert Dr. Merrick Masters calling Ford now a wild card here too.
I think that this could very well be something that makes a bold statement about the role of Ford in these upcoming round in the United States.
There is worry across the industry Fain might just strike all of the domestic three at once. Masters believes Ford's traditional role of wanting to work with the UAW could hold sway.
I think that if they're in the position where they can strike a real good deal with Ford that they could use as a template to take to the others, that would be the kind of deal that I think they should take rather than going on strike just to send a message to the other two.
I believe personally that the UAW is going to strike without any kind of real forward movement on negotiating. And I didn't even hear them pick a strike target. I didn't even hear them pick somebody that they were going to negotiate with that then waterfalls over into the other negotiations with other automakers. And that's usually what they do. Ever since I could ever remember, they've always negotiated the same way that Unifor is negotiated, and that they've negotiated with one automaker and then they move over into the next one and then they move over to the next one. I haven't even seen UAW pick somebody to negotiate with, and it almost seems like they've made up their mind that they're going to send a message because they don't really care about what's in the best interest of the workers. They think that the bully tactic is going to be the way in which they get all of the concessions from the company. Now, on the flip side, you have Kia, right? Kia is also an automaker, and I absolutely love Kia and Hyundai. I love Kia and Hyundai. I know the Kia boys is out here working, but I ain't never had my car stolen. I ain't never had no problems, so on and so forth, right? But what they've done and what a lot of these automakers have done, including Tesla, even though they've had unionization efforts over in Amazon and Tesla over in California and so on and so forth, they hate the union. They hate negotiating with them, but they also leverage what's going on with the union up here at the Big Three in order to make sure that they take care of their workers so that they never unionize down south or wherever it is that they got their plants at. A lot of times we will have plants and we'll have empty idle plants that once at one time built a lot of cars or whatever, and because we've continued to downsize and we don't need as many workers, and so we use robotics, or you have the North American Free Trade Agreement, or you have globalization, so you can build and import cars from different places. Ultimately, at times, what happens is they become less dependent on these plants, and so when they close down, even though we have the capacity, even though we have the workforce, they don't move plants and they don't move manufacturing up here to Michigan or other places where they're union strong, because they do not ever want to subject themselves to the wrath of the UAW. And so if you look at a lot of Toyota plants, if you look at Hyundai plants, if you look at BMW plants, most of them are not unionized because they do not, and the people don't even want to be a part of what it is that they see suffering happening with the union members up at the UAW and Unifor. Let's continue.
The words best used to describe Korean auto company Kia might be underdog story.
And I want that truck.
And then
I want that EV9. The last two personal vehicles that I've purchased have been Kias. Both of them has been Hyundai. Well, actually Hyundai Tucson's. Y'all actually picked the vehicle that y'all wanted me to buy. My personal vehicle that I pay for is Hyundai's. And then the vehicles that I then have in my businesses is all of the other ones, right? But I personally like it. I love their company. I love the innovation. I think that some of their designs are some of the best designs out in the market today. I think that they're forward thinking. I like the cars that they got coming out with. I love their electrification models. I love their electrified models. I think that it's a phenomenal company, and who's ever running it is doing a phenomenal job.
1990s, Kia was a low-end brand, even kind of a joke.
They were absolutely terrible vehicles. We had reliability information on, the reliability was terrible, the performance was terrible.
After saving it from bankruptcy in the late 1990s, its parent company, Hyundai, went on a hiring spree to rebuild Kia's identity. It took risks with cars like the fast liftback Stinger and the blockbuster Telluride SUV. The brand started winning awards, garnering praise.
And the winner is the Kia EV6.
It's just like this insane turnaround from a brand that most people would say, I've never heard of, to I want that in my driveway.
Sales have increased threefold in the US over the last 20 years. And now it's one of the most marked up brands in America.
We had a record in 2022. First 6 months of this year, we have more vehicles that have received IQS awards this year than any other brand.
And now it wants to take on the EV market, where it's already making waves. But all is not easy on this path. An EV sales surge in 2022 has given way to around a 30% decline in 2023. Lawsuits from several U.S. cities over stolen vehicles, recalls over fire risk.
Shout out to the Kia boys.
And a snub from the federal government looking to boost American EV manufacturing.
I don't want to go into the history. I want to go into the...
Kia started out as a components maker in
Busters, Kia went right along for the ride and in some ways bested Hyundai at their own game.
In the mid-90s and early 2000s, Kia was ranked at or near the bottom of pretty much every list possible. But around 2012, things started to change.
That was the marked year that we started to see them receiving some awards and receiving awards on a consistent basis for both J.D. Power's studies.
Take J.D. Power's 3 big surveys. The initial quality study measures problems or complaints owners have after the first 3 months of ownership. Vehicle dependability measures the same after 3 years. The appeal study is a similar study, but rather than focusing strictly on quality issues, looks at satisfaction with design, performance, safety, usability, comfort, and other factors.
Now, here's the key. One of the things that has separated Japanese automakers, even though this is a Korean automaker, one of the things that has separated Japanese automakers from U.S. automakers is that U.S. automakers often at times had overlooked Japanese automakers because they automatically assumed that all Americans would just continue to buy American. They didn't have to continue to innovate. They didn't have to grow. They didn't have to focus on quality, even to the point to where Toyota developed a production method or a way of solving for production issues. And shout out to all of the super chats. I'm going to be reading those shortly. And it was called the Toyota way. It's called the Toyota way. So much so to where lean manufacturing was largely a thing that took place in the 90s and the 2000s to where you could be lean certified. And it was all based off of the production methods of Toyota specifically, because people loved and bought Toyotas not necessarily for what it is that they looked like, but they bought them based off of their reliability and their resale value. And if people believed that your vehicle would be able to last for 200, 300,000 miles without some of the craziest quality issues in it being on the side of the road, they'd be more likely to hold on to that car because the depreciation wouldn't be as high as it would be with the other traditional automakers. And so I believe that Kia and Hyundai has taken the same approach, and that they're focused on winning awards by adding more quality and more value into the consumers and selling it at a cheaper price. It's just like the drug game, and a lot of people don't necessarily want to talk about it from that perspective, but it's very much like the drug game. Figure out how you can do things better than the competition at a cheaper price and then be able to scale up effectively. Hire the best designers, right? Drive out the costs. Figure out what people want and what they don't want, and then add quality into their lives, and then you'll be rewarded with the financial success as a result of it. And that's literally what Koreans have done with regard to Hyundai and Kia. Now, they do not go without having their problems, such as the Kia boys. Driving out the cost has also made it easier for people to be able to steal the cars. So I'm not really sure if that's a Kia and Hyundai problem, or if that's a society problem, and that we shouldn't be stealing cars. That we should not be stealing cars, right? And the Japanese are still being able to hold on to the sales crown or the profitability crown with regard to how it is that they're manufacturing things and how it is that they push out quality. But at the same time, if you're not recognizing the growth and the appeal of what Kia has done, and that they've been able to increase their sales 200% and 300% over a period of time that often at times take automakers 50 and 60 years and generations to change the mindset of the consumers, then you're missing it.
Kia has won at least one Initial Quality Award and one Appeal Award every year since 2012. From 2015 to 2020, 6 straight years, it was the #1 mass market brand in the Initial Quality study. The 2012 model year received a Dependability Award 3 years later, in 2015, like clockwork. Then the pattern gave way to records. In 2016, Kia became the first non-luxury brand to top the Dependability Survey list since 1989. In 2023, Kia received 7 Appeal Awards, the most by any brand in a single year across Appeal's 28-year history. And the list goes on.
The EV6 has won so many awards, including North American Utility of the Year. It won European Car of the Year. The EV6 GT won World Performance Car of the Year.
And sales have followed suit. Between 2002 and 2022, globally, sales have grown from $12.8 billion to $66.9 billion.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So now what I'm starting to do is starting to research and understand exactly what management has been able to implement. Because if you're able to do that in such a short amount of time, in a 10-year and within a decade, you're able to grow sales from $12 billion to $66 billion, $67 billion basically, then we need to understand exactly what's happening within the company. And so basically what they're doing is they're increasing quality. They decided to invest in marketing themselves more effectively. Because like, for example, I see somebody and they said, well, I like Volvos or whatever, so on and so forth. So Volvos have largely marketed themselves based off of safety, right? It is a brand that is not necessarily viewed as a luxury brand, but technically it's a luxury brand. And they've always marketed themselves based off of safety. But is that what consumers want? Consumers want accessibility. They want something that looks halfway decent. They want something that's reliable. They want something that does not devalue itself as soon as you drive it off the lot. And they want something that has good quality that's going to last one extended period of time. And if you solve for those issues while also maintaining your level of profitability, you will drive sales throughout the roof. It's the same thing with everything, right? And this is the thing that we need to really take from this. It's not about the car industry. It's about how it is that we can source this information to then apply it to our lives. In everything that you do, you have to not necessarily look to be the most visible, but learn how to market yourself to your audience that then allows for you to organically grow and be profitable. I'll give it to you from a content creator perspective, right? I never worried about subscribers. I was never worried about the numbers. The thing that I did in the very early part of my career as a content creator is I focused on giving great quality and resonating with my audience to allow for them to be able to tell the story. Because the long-term goal, and you always have to have a 10-year window. If you don't believe that these companies, right, they have a vision for where they want the company to be in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, They have literal capital investment that is allocated for what it is that they're then going to be generating profits from. They're developing cars to be released in 2028, 29, and 30 right now, and it's 2023, right? So from a content creator perspective, one of the things that I see people do is that they whore themselves out online. Y'all want me to be real? Y'all want to bring this back to the money, to something that you can relate to? Because it's not about the cars, it's about what it is that we're doing as individuals. What I see as content creators doing is they whore themselves out online. And whoring yourself out online a lot of time often entails being overly visible without necessarily focusing on what your brand is and what your long-term vision for what you want your channel and your content to be, even outside of YouTube. They spend the majority of their time trying to focus on how it is that they can get people to subscribe to their channel that's not even resonating with what it is that they do. I've seen people buy their subscribers. I've seen people do subscribe for subscribe, especially early content creators. They say stuff like, hey, fam, you subscribe to me, I'll subscribe to you. Well, I don't necessarily want you to subscribe to me unless my content actually resonate with you, because I want you to get the notifications based off of something that you'll click, not just be a fair weather fan. One time I had a debate, shout out to my dog, the lead attorney in Pocket Watcher with JT, and we was all on the lead attorney channel. And they said, Anton, would you rather have 1 million subscribers or no? And I said, I would rather have 100,000 people that truly love me and adored me and rock with me than 1 million people that was fair weather fans. I don't necessarily need 1 million subscribers, because there's people that got 1 million subscribers that don't even come close to the type of revenue that I do. It's people that have 1 million subscribers that don't even come close to the type of revenue that I do. And that's a fact. And anybody that's a part of the Patreon, you've seen my monthly payouts. You see how much I generate. You see the way in which I'm able to monetize the platform. And you also see the way in which I built that brand loyalty. It's a difference. And so I'm very, very careful about how it is that I go about doing things, because if it does not fit into that 10-year, 15-year window, the time that I started YouTube,
Good afternoon.
what's going on? Hey, I'm on a live stream. I got a quick question to ask you. You might not know the answer, but you might know it. But I got a quick question to ask you.
Okay.
When I first started doing YouTube, what did the people tell me?
Which people?
Our people.
We was just talking about this the other day.
Was y'all?
But it was, well, some people said, you know, it's a waste of time. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're talking about. Because mainly you was trying to put everybody else on about all they got to do is stay consistent, and they just, you know, do these things and they could be successful in what they're trying to achieve. And he was trying to give people the game on how to do it. And they told you was wasting time and, you know, doing what you was talking about.
How do you remember how long I said my long-term vision for how long that I wanted to do this?
You said it was, because you basically everybody was looking like, you know, you ain't had no subscribers or whatever, which you did have a few, but, you know, and I think you said it was like 10 years or something like that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, I'll be there soon.
Bye. When I first started YouTube, I never started it based off of how many subscribers I can get right away. I always said that this was going to be a 10-year project. I always said that this was going to be a 10-year project. The first 3 to 4 years that I had allocated to YouTube, I said that this was never going to be a thing that I was going to focus on making money from. This was going to be a thing that I was going to create as a foundation so that when you go back and you look at the receipts of what it is that I did, you'll actually be able to discover who I was and that I've always been consistent with my brand, and that I was going to go out and I wasn't necessarily going to try to get subscribers based off of what my current circumstance is online. I was going to go out and network with people, and you were going to see me and hear me in real life, get curious about what it is that I do. I was going to sell you on who it is that I was. I was going to leverage it in order to continue to go up in corporate America. And then you were going to try to subscribe to me based off of who you seen that I was in real life. I've always had a long-term vision for what I wanted things to be, whether it was corporate America, whether it was a business that I started, or whether it was content creating, right? So the first 3-4 years was me just dedicating or allocating my time towards establishing a foundation of what I wanted my channel to be, to mine out the different ideas, to experiment a little bit, right? To focus on what it is that I was doing. And I never jumped on a panel. I never had a conversation with anybody. I never studied anybody else's stuff. I always focused on what it was that I was doing as far as putting out quality content. And so that I'd had brand loyalty for every one subscriber that I got, instead of spending the majority of my time on trying to get a whole bunch of subscribers and trying to be visible in front of people, right? Because once you establish that foundation, then you can start building up and marketing yourself more effectively that allow for people to really understand who you are. Because if somebody go over to your shit, right? Let's say, for example, somebody goes over to your stuff. Let me pull this down. Let's say somebody goes over to your stuff and they say, oh, okay, that person is unique. Let me go and check you out. And then they go over to your shit and you ain't got nothing that actually offers any value or anything that can retain them, or you're not actually being able to, put on a show by yourself. You haven't learned how to communicate. You know how difficult it is for you to actually be able to put on a show by yourself? Do you know what people have done when everybody else was getting marketing deals and they was selling their channel over and then they was splitting the majority of their profits? They was doing 20/80s and all of that shit over to content creators. That's what happened to FouseyTube. FouseyTube, and I don't even know if y'all noticed, for a lot of the early content creators and the people that was doing pranks and react and all that stuff, they sold a lot of their channel over in order to get the visibility, and now they don't even have no money. They broke as fuck. They didn't even get it, right? But my point is that everything that you do, similar to what it is that they're doing over at Kia, similar to how you see a lot of these different brands, and whether it's an automaker or whether it's Radio Shack and all of these other places, they lose their way because they're so focused on trying to get the results now based off of clout instead of establish a brand that's going to allow for them to blossom long term, right? When you see a lot of people and they just doing, shows and they just talking about different people or whatever, that's not something that's going to be able to establish them in the minds of their viewers, because the only thing that their viewers can find out about them for is that they don't like somebody else. And so what is your brand? What can you do to add value? How is it that you can add value into other people's minds that will allow for them to subscribe to you outside of anything outside of hate, right? It's too much game. It's too much game. I got another thing that I want to share with you guys before we get up out of here. But before I do, let me make sure that I read the super chats and add value into y'all lives. Carolina's own DJ K Smooth is in the building, says, destinations that will set you up for success: Greenville, South Carolina; Greensboro, North Carolina; Charlotte, North Carolina; Charleston, South Carolina. All of these are South Carolinas and North Carolinas. Shout out to my guy, Carolina's own DJ K Smooth, is dedicated to what it is that he's doing. I appreciate you, family. Thank you. You are absolutely awesome, my friend. Rod 212 is in the building. Rod 212 said, if a man prays for a maid, a chef, and all of a woman, if a man pays for a maid, a chef, and all of a woman's expenses, what should his expectations be regarding her actions towards him, excluding responsibilities towards the children? I don't think that a man should ever pay for all of a woman's expenses. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. She needs to show her value to you first. Do not go into a relationship. Let me tell you something. Do not, never go into a relationship looking to take care of a woman, expecting to get some return on your investment. You are going to be sad about it. You need to make sure that she's there for the right reasons. You need to make sure that she's working. You need to make sure that she's bringing value and adding value into you. See, the thing that men got twisted is that y'all think that it's important for y'all to take care of them and add value into them, when the reality is that her role as a woman is to be a helpmeet to you, meaning that she needs to come in up under your vision, trying to figure out how it is that she needs to add value to you and not the other way around. Never, ever pay for a woman to be taken care of. Do not look for her at any way, shape, or form to then be able to add value into you and have some level of responsibility to you outside of the children, she needs to be coming in, grinding, working, hustling, and putting in just as much effort that she do in her own personal life as she would with you. The same level of effort. She give more effort to her job than she would to you. But then when she then get off of that soft life and working for her job, then she ain't got shit to do at home. Never, ever. She needs to be working. She needs to be contributing into the household. She needs to still be taking care of her responsibilities as a role as a wife and children and everything. Do not let that woman sit on her back. You know me. You know me. You know me. I asked my chick today, I said, what is all of these women doing all day that ain't got no kids and their kids is in school full time? She said, absolutely nothing, Anton. She said they may do something here or there or whatever, but they ain't got nothing to do. These hoes is out here just chilling. Just out here chilling. Stop. Listen, I'm not even going to say, Santandra says stop paying for women. I'm going to go one step further. Stop creating the expectation that you're going to take care of her and all she got to do is be able to chill and take care of the children. Stop creating the expectation that you're going to take care of her and all she got to do is come and take care of the children. You are setting yourself up for failure. You are setting yourself up for a huge failure, my friend. Do not do it, Rod. Don't put yourself in that position. Don't lead with it. Don't tell her that you're going to do it. Don't set the expectation for it. As a matter of fact, I advocate for you guys to downplay the value that you add into a relationship to see what it is that she's going to do as a result of it. Don't do it. Don't do it, Rod. Thank you for the $50 super chat. Email me, AntonDaniels413@gmail.com. I'm going to get you taken care of, big dog. Aaron says, get that chick to fly you out like a baddie. Oh, Jesus Christ. Don't do it. Don't do it. Charloya says, when are you going to drop some game on cryptocurrency? Is near institutional adoption. Like to hear your take on it. I'm doing some research. I am doing research. I will never, ever talk about something that I am not 100% comfortable telling you what it is that I would do as a result of it. So I'm never going to lead you wrong. If I wouldn't do it and if I'm not fully embracing it yet, you'll never hear me talk about it. I'd rather bring somebody else in order to have a conversation with that can give you the insight. So when you see me fully vested in it and fully spending my own money on it is when I'm going to start talking about it. So shout out to you. Thank you for the super chat. All right. Family Man is in the building. My favorite movie says, Naptown, stand up. Indianapolis is a great place to live. That's a fact. Indianapolis is a great place to live. Just stay away from the east side. It's like a mini Chirac. Millionaire Morning Show is the best thing popping. Salute. Shout out to you, my friend. I appreciate you. Patty Jackson is in the building. Patty says Kia and Hyundai might be struggling after Mayor Brandon Johnson sued both car makers for carjacking. That's happening in Chicago. How you gonna sue the car makers for the people that's in Chicago carjacking? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to you. Bilderberg Boy is in the building. Says just picked up a 2024 Honda CR-V hybrid touring yesterday. We'll be using it to save on gas while making my rounds to my clients and running all of my errands. Shout out to my people that's making smart decisions, not just stuff to clout chase. Trevor F is in the building. I appreciate you. My job is sending me to South Korea this Sunday to prepare for production of the EV9 back here in the United States, and I probably am going to buy one. I'm strongly considering buying one. I got to get the Cybertruck first. I got to get a Grand National first, the 87 Grand National. I also need to get a Mercury Marauder. I have to get the new Revelto, and I also want to get the new Huracan that they got coming out. So I got a bunch of cars that I got on order and that I'm hunting for. And so shout out to you, my friend. I appreciate you. Make sure you get a likes up for the YouTube algorithm and Facebook algorithm. Subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Let me get into this next part. And so this is the last thing that I want to cover before I get you all up out of here, all right? The United States. I reported on this yesterday, and I'm not going to keep y'all long, but I want to have a conversation about this. The United States recently tried to hold Elon Musk accountable for not hiring immigrants and migrants and instead prioritizing United States workers. There's been a report that I looked at that more in depth goes into this. I've seen the title of it. I haven't actually watched the video yet, but I want to react to it in real time. Again, make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Let's rock, y'all.
The number of job openings in the U.S. has been hovering between 9 million to 12 million open roles, and these empty desks are dragging down the economy.
You're talking about passing up something like $1 trillion in production every year that these jobs go unfilled.
At the same time, there are millions of people who want to come to the U.S. to work.
It still is the shining city on the hill for most people in the world. If they're going to immigrate, and we do surveys at Ipsos where I see this, the most popular place for people to immigrate in the world is still the United States.
It's clear that the U.S. has a very important pull factor in terms of migration. It's the largest economy in the world.
But American immigration policies bar many employers from hiring unskilled migrants, claiming it protects American workers.
Joe Biden's 5 million illegal aliens are on the verge of replacing you.
Now, here's the caveat to that. You got to not necessarily listen to politicians when they're giving you talking points, because you got to look for the context, and they don't have the time to actually speak to and answer questions with regard to the context. It's much easier to use talking points in order to get people riled up about why they should or shouldn't be against immigration, right? I believe that immigration is good, but immigration is good if you do it the right way. Immigration can be great if they come into the country legally. Now, what does that mean, coming into the country legally, right? It means that either you're here on a work visa and then you go home if that visa expires, which means that you no longer add value into the country. It also means that you then abide by and you do things the right way as far as doing things in order, right? Getting a green card. I know a lot of these chicks coming up by marrying dudes that's getting a green card. They over there looking for love. They're coming back over into the United States. But there's so many loopholes just like they are in the tax law, right? So, for example, a lot of women over in China come and visit the United States when they're pregnant in order to have the baby here, and that way that their child has U.S. citizenship by default because they were born here in the United States of America. It's a thing, right? So there's some ways to finesse it, but ultimately what immigration does is it allows for us to continue to fill the pool with people that actually add value inside the United States of America, right? It fills the roles and the ranks with people that add value. So I'll give you an example. One of the ways in which they add value is to our U.S. college system. Often at times when you see people come to our universities from other countries in order to study from abroad, they pay the highest tuition. But then at the same time, we get their best and their brightest because these are people that are actually going to be doing the things that add value, paying the taxes, high earners, building up the economy, right? And so when you do immigration properly, what happens is you get the best of, not necessarily the rest of, those that couldn't necessarily hack it in their countries. That's what it's designed to do. It's designed to fill jobs and roles that A, either people can't do, B, people won't do, or C, that people need to do that we're preparing for in the future in order to allow for us to continue to be the greatest country on earth. That's why you have immigration policy, and it's supposed to be operating in your own best interest. However, when we continue to do the stuff like we're doing right now with the migrant crisis, when we continue to have our borders just continue to open flow, when people can come in and do anything that they want, they start to bring their own culture in. They start to continue to erode the fabric of what it means to be a U.S. citizen. They start to feel entitled. And then they expect for you to continue to use your tax dollars and feed them, even though they're not necessarily adding value into the country. So if we had politicians that could speak to exactly why they stood for or against illegal immigration and why they didn't or they did want our borders closed off, then you would be able to actually better vet exactly the candidate that you want in office to represent you in Congress, U.S. House of Representatives, President of the United States, even your local branches in your government, because those are the things that affect you the most. Let's continue.
Placing your jobs.
The public is split evenly on this. 51% of Americans surveyed by the Cato Institute worry immigration could reduce the number of jobs available. Meanwhile, a crisis at the border continues.
Illegal immigrants in fiscal 22, there were 2.7 million encounters at the border. It's a sort of bum rush where the people who get to make the choice about who fills this supposed labor vacuum are the people who show up at the border, as opposed to the United States Congress and the people who voted for it.
The immigration crisis is of historic proportions right now, both in terms of the number of people violating the law and the fact that our legal immigration system is facing backlogs like it's never seen before in the history.
How do you know who's over here, and how do you know how to manage them effectively if you don't actually have any documentation for how people are, or where it is that they live in, or how many people is coming in, and where they coming from, and why they coming over here, and what is their background, and are they prison rejects like somebody in the chat just said, right? How do you know? Because Americans, to be fair and to be balanced, don't want to do some of the jobs that you see immigrants coming over here and doing. So, for example, right, they don't want to do farming anymore. Americans are not interested in physical labor if they are not participating in some way, finessing, scamming, PPP loaning, or working from home in some capacity. Americans largely do not want to participate in the construction field, and they do not want to participate in farming. So who do you then get to fill those roles? Because if there's jobs that are available, but people are not necessarily saying that they want to fill them because they're not necessarily feeling like those jobs could substantiate what it is that they expect from their lifestyle, who do you then get to fill those roles? That's the question that a lot of these politicians have not solved yet. And those are the questions that y'all should be asking them when they come on a campaign trail and they come to your city and they ask you if you have any questions. You don't show up, you just automatically assume based off of a talking point.
Of the United States.
How U.S. immigration policies hurt the economy. The U.S. is running out of workers. It's been this way for a while. And with only 5.8 million unemployed workers and almost 10 million open roles, the math just will not add up. Meanwhile, a large majority of the U.S. population is aging out of the workforce.
The effect of a shrinking, aging population is a decline in innovation, combined with the fact that you're just going to run out of the things that drove economic growth.
Just look at the facts of the US population. In the 1970s, there were about 15 people of older age or after retirement for each working age individual in the US. Nowadays, that number is 25 plus. It has been rising significantly over the past 10 years.
The U.S. birth rate is also declining, so there will be fewer young Americans to fill the open roles.
Now, one of the things that people say to me all the time is, Anton, we need to have more babies. Anton, we need to have more babies. Anton, we need to have more babies. And what that does is it flies completely in the face of what I say on a regular basis, and I often say that we need to be more responsible with the babies that we have because most people are not suited to be parents. Well, why is it that they're saying we need to have more babies? Because they want to make you a part of the slave culture, right? A lot of these immigrants are over here doing jobs that they can't do, that you don't want to do, and so that's why they do it. But what they want us to do, and the reason they keep telling you that we need to have more babies, is not just to fill the aging population, but it's 2- and 3-fold. A, they need you to continue to pay into the Social Security system and all of these Victim Olympics things that then would allow us to continue the pyramid scheme. Because you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, so we're now paying for the people that's going to be retiring because we don't actually have the money in the capital when we first established things like Social Security in order to sustain a way that we continue to live instead of revising how it is that we manage the country. B, right? They want us to continue to fill these roles and have more children because we understand that we need more people to continue to drive economic growth. So what does that mean? You need your baristas. You need your plant workers. You need Amazon workers. You need all of these people to do all of these jobs. You need your truck drivers. You need your people that's going to be making these desks. You need the people that's going to be delivering to IKEA. You need USPS workers. You need UPS workers. You need FedEx workers. You need the people that's going to be making the water and farmers and all of this stuff, right? So they're incentivizing you to have more children by saying that we're going to give you more money, especially from a tax perspective, or give you a tax break because we understand that we need to have more workers in order to continue to drive economic growth. But when people tend to get smarter, what happens is they tend to have less children until they get more money because they don't want their children to go through the same things that they went through when they grew up. So the more information you have, the better decisions that you make, which then affects what it is that's going to be, contributed into the coffers that then sustains the lifestyle of those that then never contributed to it in the first place. They want you to have more children because they want you to work at the fast food places that then feed into whatever it is that we're separating the middle class, or we're separating the poverty-stricken class, the lower class, from the elite. You have to have an underclass in order to have an elite. That's why they keep telling you to have more children. And so it flies in the face of what I tell you to do, even though I know that there's always going to be people that have baby mamas and they're going to continue to have children, right? We got to fill the prisons. We need people to make our license plates, because I'm telling you differently, because I think that there's a segment of the population that can do better, should do better. And so it's not going to be for everybody. It's only going to be for those that's supposed to continue to level up.
We were in a world where we actually want to reallocate resources in the most effective way globally. You know, it's a no-brainer to say, well, the U.S. now needs a lot of young people, and we have them. They want to come, and it's just really a matter of understanding that it's beneficial for the country.
But if we decide to import a larger number of young people to do labor to become new Americans, we have to do it in a manner that's legal and that's fair. If we could
Did you hear what he said? If we decide to import, meaning that you want to have legal immigration, or you basically are importing, listen. I know that this is going to be an unpopular take, but I'm going to tell you the truth. And this is just my opinion, and I'm open to the possibility that I'm wrong. But based off of what I see from multiple different factors, and this is how I look at it, right? He just literally told you. I'm going to play it again for you, and then I'm going to break it down, and I'm going to get y'all up out of here. Listen to what he's saying.
Of young people to do labor.
Well, the U.S. now needs a lot of young people, and we have them. They want to come.
Listen to what he's saying.
And it's just really a matter of understanding that it's beneficial for the country.
But if we decide to import a larger number of young people to do labor to become new Americans, we have to do it in a manner that's legal and that's fair.
If we decide to import a bunch of young people to do labor so that they can become Americans, then we have to do it in a responsible way. What does that sound like to you? Because maybe it sounds differently to me than it sounds to you. It sounds like the same way in which they built up this country in the first place is it was through slave labor. When they brought people over here and they bought and sold human beings in order to continue to build up this country and build wealth, how did they do it? They negotiated with people in other countries to sell themselves over here that ultimately built up America, that then profited the elite. How is it any different except for we're remixing it and we're putting new names on it in order to try to maintain a level of humanity, when in reality all they're telling you to do, or what they're doing, is they're saying that we need a new group of people that are not as educated, that are not as wise, as willing to do the jobs that nobody else is willing to do, so that we can then capitalize off of it and ensure that we maintain our capitalistic structure that allows for us to continue to beat out everybody else in the world in order to be successful. And so when you have children, and again, this is not for everybody, this is just for a group of people. This is for the bag chasers. Let's put it like that. When you have children and you have them out of wedlock, or you put them in duress, or you saddle them with a bunch of debt, or you have children that you can't pay for their college tuition, and then they have to go and take out student loans and beg Biden for a student loan forgiveness. When you then put yourself in a position where you vote based off of your circumstances and not based off of what's best for the people that come after you. When you then do things out of ignorance and you vote without actually understanding what it is that you're doing. When you have children that will eventually be the Amazon workers, and it's nothing wrong with working at Amazon. It's nothing wrong with working at the fast food place. But those places were largely, the fast food places, the baristas, those places were largely supposed to be the places that you use to get into the workforce, learn certain skills, and then you leapfrog off of that to become a productive human being. Now people are using that to say that we need a livable wage, and we're going to protest and unionize as a result of it, because they've now conditioned you to actually look at yourself as slave labor. And you don't see it because you've never stepped outside of your circumstances long enough to actually look at what you could be versus why it is that you're in the circumstances that you're in. It sounds literally, it is word for word the exact same way that we built the country. But because you don't understand it, and how you're killing yourself because you don't understand the value that you actually bring, and so you subject yourself to this mindset and this indoctrination that allows you to continue to do the thing that's not in your best interest or in the interest of your children, all you're doing is creating the next class of people that is going to be doing the things that then empower people like me to get rich. You're empowering us to get rich. Listen, it's a class war. He just told you without telling you. It's a class war. But because you're so short-sighted, you don't do the thing that's in your best interest, because the only thing you're looking at is the people that surround you, and that's the way that you evaluate yourself or where you are in life. If I'm going to fix you, and I told you this yesterday, if I'm going to fix you, I got to fix up here first before it starts to translate out here. Because if I give you this, without this, you just going to kill yourself. You operating out of ignorance. Let me read the super chats and then I'm going to get y'all up out of here. Shout out to T. Chanley, 30% off your first order plus a free gift, to make sure that you tap into that link and get that. Also, if you have not tapped into the Patreon, link is in the description. Shout out to all of my people that's live streaming this. Let's see what we got. We're going to start with J. Ben. J. Ben says, Ton going to make me snag a warehouse and really start going crazy on the car collection. That bubble you bought is fire. Y'all see my new car? Man, it is so sick. Nah, y'all got to go and tap into my Instagram. If you ain't following me on Instagram, then you can't see the new car. Got me looking for a Continental. I am looking for a Continental too. I think it's a 67 Continental with the suicide doors. I think it's 67. Yeah, I'm on a hunt, man. I got this car thing going. I've been into watches. I'm into cars now. So it's a completely different game for me right now, J-Ben. Antonio Watkins is in the building, says, I know you have been getting on truckers, but I just graduated truck driving school last week. Can't wait for my next coaching call. I'm looking to keep leveling up no matter what. I don't get on truckers. I get into people. I love my truckers. I love everybody that's driving into a trucker. Shout out to all my truckers that's listening to me today. I get into people that get into things that don't understand that is going to be more than just what it is that they selling you online. It was a lot of people that was advocating for people to get into trucking without giving them a context or helping them to understand what truckers went through historically. That is going to be a roller coaster ride. That is certain ways you make money and certain ways that you don't make money. You might not want to buy a truck. It's going to be difficult to find a driver if you buy a second truck, so on and so forth. So it's not that I'm on truckers. I'm also being critical of the industry itself so that you get the information and be able to level up. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Antonio Watkins and congratulations, my friend. I appreciate you. Cliff Williams in the building says they are outsourcing the new labor force. They've been doing that for a long time. Fan is in the building. What up, Fan? Fan says, how can you see this is like slavery but can't see the 1%ers are the slave owners that will use this free labor? It's not free labor. It's called capitalism. It's been a war. It's been a war. Shout out to Fan. It's been a war based off, but here's the thing. It's not slavery. It's like slavery. And the reason why it's not slavery is because slavery is based off of something that you can't control. You were required to do it. You didn't have a choice of whether or not you was going to do it or not. And you was going to get whipped and you was going to have kids based off of us breeding you like cattle and then being able to sell you off on how much we can get for you. The other side of it is this, Fan. It is very similar to it, but it's not like it at all because you have a choice of whether or not you want to participate in it, whether or not you want to continue to be immersed in it, whether or not we want to continue to do the things that is not going to be in our best interest. Here's where the real slavery comes from, Fan. Here's the thing. The reason why most people have to continue to run on a hamster wheel and do the same stuff that they haven't been doing or that they have to be doing for the rest of their life and then retire with nothing in the bank is because they don't take a step back, lower their lifestyle. They continue to embrace this financing of a lifestyle that's not best for them. They pay interest into these banks, and then they don't understand how money works. Instead of them leveraging this and buying assets, they then do it and they take all of the money that they make, even if they make a lot of money. Let's say you make $250,000 and they increase their lifestyle. So then they become a slave to the payments that they have to maintain in order to even keep a roof over their head because they never, ever owned the home that their grandmother then passed on to them. They sold it for peanuts and then they continued to finance their lifestyle because somebody on Instagram told them that they were supposed to do it that way. That's the real slavery, Fan. Slavery is really financial slavery because most people don't do the thing that's in their own best interest. That's the honest to God truth. It's easy to convince you that you got to do something and that you got to continue to work 100 hours for the rest of your life. If I told you that it was okay for you to finance this house for the next 30 years that you're going to have to pay 3 times 4. Think about it. If I tell you that you got to finance this house for the next 30 years and you're going to wind up paying 3 times the amount of what the purchase price of that house is, but I told you that it was better to own instead of renting, instead of telling you how it is that you can build up assets that then allow for you to pay for your lifestyle, then I can keep you doing the thing without you ever objecting to it, because it's easy to market it to you without ever having to run a commercial. It's easier to market. Listen, the banks don't market 30-year mortgages over to you guys anymore. You do. You guys market it over to each other, and you sell each other over into slavery with bad information, and y'all following the wrong people that's not adding value into your lives. And you know how they did it? The easiest way for them to do it? Gamification. You know what gamification is? Credit. They gamified what it is that you guys thought was important, and you were more focused on your credit score than how much you have in assets. When y'all go on a date, I see women every day start to have a conversation about what is his credit score instead of how much in assets can we build together. Y'all not hearing me. Y'all not hearing me. Y'all not hearing me. More people are more concerned with the credit score so that they can finance their lives away. We've just hit a record $1 trillion in credit card debt versus having a conversation of how much you can add value into somebody's life based off of their asset class. Y'all selling each other every day. Women sell women based off of trying to talk to a man based off of his credit score. Gurus sell people every day on how much that they can finance a 30-year mortgage for based off of the interest rates that they're giving out. People go out here and they get these cars that they can't afford and they pay an egregious interest and they're not even writing it off on their businesses. Man. I'm getting too deep now. I'm getting way too deep now. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Make sure you tap into the bag chasers. Aaron says, Anton, I got a lot of great things happening all at the same time. We got to talk about how to properly adjust my time so I can continue my progress and growth. Hit me up, Aaron. I rock with you, bro. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for rocking out with me. Listen, this is the greatest morning show on earth, bar none. Bar none, this is the greatest morning show on earth. It is called the Millionaire Morning Show for a reason. Because first it's based off of your mindset, then it translates into your actions. We have the most entertaining show. We got the most popping show. We are the funniest show on the fucking earth. We have a good time. We hold each other accountable, and it all comes back down to the money. Straight up. You cannot say that you know a better morning show than what we got going on over here at the Millionaire Morning Show. Bar none. If you're not tuning into this Monday through Friday, you losing out. And if you're not tuned in tonight on a Wednesday night, which I'm going to allow for y'all to be able to call in and give y'all thoughts, because we're going to be cooking up tonight on Wednesday night on the Anton Daniels channel, 9:30 Eastern. 9:30 Eastern tonight. 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you tapped in. If you are not subscribed, then you are doing yourself a disservice because you're going to forget. I love you. I appreciate you. Let me give y'all the last thing that I want y'all to do. Make sure you share this with your family and friends. If you love your family, if you love your spouse, if you love your kids, if you love your friends, if you love your auntie, if you love your gam, make sure you share this with your family and friends. We don't want to be rich by ourselves, y'all. Don't be selfish. It don't cost you nothing to share this with your family and friends. I love you. I appreciate you. Till tonight, let's rock, y'all. Let's go get it. No fumble in the bag. I hope y'all feel great.